I'm good. It's okay, man. My wife wants me to put on blue light blocking glasses. She's a nurse, so she looks out for me.
Aw, my wife's a nurse too.
Oh, really? They should talk about blue light.
I have blue light blockers somewhere.
Honestly, they've been a game changer. But
have they really?
But that's not here what we're talking. That's not what we're here to talk about. See, this is why Dennis does the intros. Everybody, welcome to Dennis the Menace. And I guess also Nephilim Death Squad, because we're both doing the live streaming at the exact same time. So whose show is it? We don't know, but it's happening.
It's your show.
It's a swap cast, right? Isn't that a thing?
It's your show. Yeah. We're just we're here to answer questions. We don't want any problems. But we have enough beef already as it is.
A lot of our listeners are going to be in the chat. Go and subscribe to Dennis the Menace while you're here. Don't be stingy. Don't be stingy.
And likewise, our folks go and subscribe to Nephilim Death Squad. You guys have been having an interesting month, to put it lightly, you know. Yeah. And I thought it'd be smart to touch base. We're in the same niche of conversations. We're Christian conspiracists, or I think I said that right. But specifically, I think a huge topic of discussion that we need to own. And if we don't, the other side's going to own it and they're going to put some bull crap out there. Okay. And then we got to make up ground, right? I think we need to own the alien conversation because it's not going anywhere and it's only going to get crazier as we've been seeing over the past couple of years, right? And you guys had a very interesting conversation recently with Tim Alberino.
Who's that?
Here, let me Google a picture for you. Hold on.
It's just a cat.
It's a cat, man.
And Tim is a friend of the show. He's been on. He came on maybe a couple years ago, early on for us, you know. So it was a big help because, you know, Tim's an OG in the space. And nice guy, difference of opinions on certain things. But your guys' interaction was a bit interesting. So do you guys mind if I ask what the drama is about?
Yeah, that's fair. So the drama was, I'll try to use reasonable language. I don't want to get your...
Keep it clean.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it clean. So the drama was, it started because Tim and the Blurry Creatures boys were saying this thing over and over again, which is if you think aliens or demons or demonic, you're an idiot. And this trend went on for a while. It was in Twitter posts. It was in flippant remarks on the podcast. And then eventually it sort of came to a head. And that head was on Twitter where Timothy Alberino said something, I'm paraphrasing, but it was more or less to the effect of, if you are getting your alien information from Nephilim podcasters, you know, you're an idiot.
Which is, it's obscure because we are not Nephilim. 5 fingers.
Right.
1 row of teeth.
Right.
But we do have a show called Nephilim Death Squad.
And he did after that, he posted a meme and it said, it was from Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Never go full retard. And that's pretty much all of our branding in one tweet.
Yeah, like the people in your chat right there with the little connected sign. Those are dangerous. I don't want to
say it again and again. Yeah.
Yeah. Dangerous R words.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's literally, we had a show called that for a while. And so it felt awfully pointed and specific. And even if it wasn't, well, it certainly was offensive to us.
No, I liked it. I thought it was fun.
I just felt like he was talking to us. So what I did was I purchased a I almost called it a Timothy Alberino costume. A Indiana Jones costume. I purchased an Indiana Jones costume because he dresses like Indiana Jones, and a whip. And I just made a simple post on X, and I was cracking my whip at my bathroom mirror, and the caption said, if you think aliens are demons, you're R-worded, right? And that was it. Very silly, very, you know.
Who did you tag it?
I didn't tag anybody. What ended up happening was Alberino eventually sees this, and then he comments and he says, do you want to have a conversation like adults or do you want to behave like children? And to which I said, why would you think this is about you? And, you know, so we had this back and forth for a while. And I kept posting Indiana Jones memes. And there really wasn't a huge contention at first. I do believe that aliens are demonic.
Right.
And from the show's inception, Nephilim Death Squad's inception, what has been a consistent narrative of ours is that this is a rebranding. What you're seeing as the alien phenomenon is a long generational psyop to rebrand ancient adversarial biblical entities as, benign space brothers or whatever. And this has been aided by Hollywood for a really long time. I think it really kicks off after World War II. The propaganda that's been aimed at the American public has been like nonstop. It's been hammering. In fact, if people really stop and they ask themselves, where do, and I'm not talking about conspiracy theorists, real, I'm just talking about the average populace. Where do your ideas of aliens come from? It's like video games, movies, and shows. You mean the propaganda machine? So
right.
We've been of that, mind for the last 2 years of the show's life. And, so I did feel like I had to push back against that. And then he asked me to debate him, which was interesting. He goes, let's have a debate about this. Bring your receipts.
Bring your supernatural receipts.
Yeah, bring your receipts regarding this intangible phenomenon that previously was said to have been pseudoscience or conspiracy.
And you brought the ear guy.
Well, we did bring the ear guy.
No, that was that was a Make-A-Wish.
Oh,
he really likes Timothy Alberino, and the only reason we spoke with Tim was because Matt wanted us to talk with Tim. He's a big fan for many years of his old documentaries and all this, and we're like, all right, well, sit down and watch your hero die.
Yeah,
and that's what happened.
Which, to your point,
shots fired.
Ben, he is like an OG in the space, right? You said that earlier. We have his DVDs here in the studio, and so when you challenge me to a debate, I don't debate. But I did mock him relentlessly for like a month. So I thought it's kind of only fair that if I'm going to talk all this crap and I'm going to dress like you and call you Indiana Moans and, all these names, maybe I should.
You like Indiana Moans.
Yeah, Indiana Moans was a little rude. It was really silly. I turned him into a tuna melt sandwich at one point with a Indiana Jones hat. Why? Because somehow Timothy Alberino turned into Timothy Albacore Tuna Melt.
To Timothy Frappuccino, Timothy Wolverino.
It just keeps going. It's just the silliest crap in the world. So anyway, I go, all right, I'm going to have a debate with this guy. What I'll do then is let me start to look into his documentaries, learn a little bit more about him. Previously, I was only aware of him through the Blurry Creatures and a couple of appearances on other shows and was, a fan of his work.
He was on our show as well.
He was on our show very early, like on yours.
He comes and he scopes it out.
Yeah. And let me tell you, even that first episode, which was episode 30 of Nephilim Death Squad, I think episode 30, it was contentious because of the alien topic specifically. So we did have a bit of an abrasive conversation with him, was not nearly as abrasive as what just happened recently. So as I'm doing this, scouring through his documentaries, I come across the second series in True Legends, the documentary series with him, Tom Horn, Steve Quayle. And long story short, the crux of this DVD is that the Vatican is working to create disclosure around UFOs, but it's a psychological operation. It's a deception. Tom Horn or Steve Quayle, one of the two, calls it the Great Deception. And Timothy Alberino says the Antichrist is going to emerge from this deception. Mm-hmm. So I go,
sounds demonic.
Sounds demonic, right? It sounds demonic. Sounds like we're saying the same thing.
Right.
Right. If you say the Antichrist is going to come from this thing and I say that thing is demonic, what's the problem here? So I'm now confused. And we decide to go a little bit further. Now, you're aware, I'm sure your audience is aware that Age of Disclosure came out recently, which is a big, I mean, we're all kind of looking at this thing. I don't know about your thoughts on it. It looks like a propaganda piece to me. What do you think?
Bro, we know nothing's put out there that it doesn't have some sort of alternative psyop implications. This thing would not be allowed on Amazon, or where is it being? Amazon.
It was it broke streaming records. 20 million people saw it in the first week, I think, and it broke streaming records. So, which is weird for alien disclosure documentary. I know those things
Right.
are popular, more so than they have been in the past, but to break streaming records, that's pretty unheard of.
Right.
Just because of the quality of people on it.
Yeah.
The talent, so to speak.
That's true. That's true. It does validate the message, though, right? So we clearly see through and know that there's an agenda behind even a film like Age of Disclosure, but at the same time, it does also validate that, hey, something's going on, But that validation might just be part of the game plan. Like it might just be frogs in water boiling slowly, where this topic is normalized and slowly trickled into our conscious and psyche, so that when the thing appears, we've already been primed to accept, oh, of course something's appearing. We've been told for the past 10 years that something may appear, and that things have appeared in the past, and we've recovered their technology. And even some of our fiber optics or other technologies have come from those things we've recovered, So I think it's the slow boil, and Age of Disclosure is part of that. But do you think it's a net positive or a net negative that they're putting this kind of stuff out there?
That's a great question.
So I think Timothy kind of posed that question to us during the debate.
Yeah.
About he wanted us to pick a side: white hat, black hat, good side, bad side, red team, blue team. Kind of like, are you with the guys who are going to stop, trafficking and the murder that's behind all of this disclosure stuff, or are you with the good guys like Lou Elizondo, who's trying to reveal this? And I don't see it either way. I think if there is a supernatural force at work, like aliens or like old G gods, which we're of the assumption that these things are, or possibly, like if we want to nitpick, maybe they aren't the old G gods, but maybe they're their kin. Maybe they are the Nephilim of the old G gods. Maybe they're just some sort of thing we don't have a name for, but definitely come from that. If they're behind that and it's their time to come, they're going to come. That's really it. So what I think is happening is we were previously on with Ed Mabry, and we were talking about this point. All of the signs point to this, whether it's geopolitical signs, whether it's, things in the media, even astrological signs. Like we just had the 3-eye atlas pass by, and that could be nothing, but we're on some sort of an age. Baba Vanga, all these people that predicted 2025 to be a major year, like a turning point. Trump talking about the golden age, all of this. Right. So like all this stuff trickled on, whether it happens or not, the elites or the people in charge are looking at this time frame that is coming up, or that we are actually in right now, as the point where this is a possibility to happen. So if I were to guess, I'd say that there were many times like this, maybe times where the veil is much thinner than others, that separate this world from whatever is happening. And I feel like that comes through seasonally, maybe every 10 years or so. We had on Brad Lale, and we were talking about that as well. In 1947, there was this astrological time period where the veil was thinner. So you have like plasmoids reacting in different ways. And that time period was 1947. A lot of stuff happened there. So you've got, the creation of Israel. You have Roswell. Right. You have CIA, the Air Force. You name it. All this stuff is going down in the 50s. And it feels like we're at that precipice today. So I guess a long way to answer your question is, I don't see it on either side. I think that this is a possibility, and everybody's trying to hedge their bets and set up their fortresses. So when this does happen, if this does happen, they are in place and ready to take advantage or spin it. Maybe even, make some pleas to the old G gods, like, hey, look, we brought you in. But I mean, we know what happens to the commies that are there. You're usually the first one against the wall. Yeah,
and that whole idea too of, I actually think that you could put a little bit of weight on this is a net negative, the Age of Disclosure, and it's really subtle. It's a small negative, but I think it plants a seed. And this was my main contention with Alberino. I said that after we watched that True Legends documentary, what then came next was we watched Age of Disclosure with our audience, and it sucked. I thought it sucked because, of course, if we're in this community, this is all crap that we've heard a million times, right? Couldn't keep up with it. 90-degree turns at high velocities. The inhabitants of the craft would have been scrambled eggs. The Tic Tac UFO, Commander Fravor, it's just all the same crap that we've been subjected to since 2016, 17, 18. So In that way, it wasn't groundbreaking, but there was this little thing that they did that was new. I think they introduced something new to the conversation, and that was about the 20-minute mark or so in Age of Disclosure. Lou Elizondo is talking, and he says there has been an old guard embedded in the Pentagon that calls these things demons or devils, and they've been standing in the way of progress for a long time.
You'll call me demons or devils now, and you'll call me something else in the future.
Right.
Oh,
That sound like that's a quote from Lamb.
That's Crowley.
Yes,
Crowley.
Exactly. So it's interesting because that in itself is not like this huge dismissal of Christianity. I think it wasn't meant to be a huge dismissal of Christianity. It was meant to plant the seed, because who else is calling them devils and demons? Right. I mean, it's
the Collins elite.
Yeah. Whatever the case may be. And that's what Tim Alberino thinks, it's the Collins elite, but it doesn't matter. The point is, that was a sneaky little way to plant a seed of doubt. So now when we move forward in time, and they should say anything like religion has kept people stuck in a paradigm that's halted progress, people are going to look over to Christians and say like, yeah, no, I don't want to hear that these are demons or devils. You guys have stood when these things, if they do, come out and they give us amazing technologies and systems and such, and we enter a veritable utopia like Arthur C. Clarke's Childhood's End. Or is it C.S. Lewis? I forget who it is. Doesn't matter.
Arthur.
Is it Arthur? Okay. So if we get introduced to that kind of utopia, the idea that Christians stood in the way of this, that's going to rub people the wrong way. They're not going to want to hear that these things are demons or devils. And so,
bro, it's not Muslims. It's not anybody else. It's Christians. We're the problem that stood in the way of this in particular.
Exactly. Sure. And I think that's the thing that they're trying to set up here. So the last straw in this leading up to this Alberino debate is, I heard he did a review of this Age of Disclosure documentary. Let's watch it. So we watched that with the audience, dude. And number one, it sucked. And it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was just going by by point, like addressing this is what they said here. And then a little bit longer, this is what they said in this part of the documentary.
It was a good breakdown.
It was a good breakdown. It was void really of any of his own opinion.
Got it.
Which it was just like listing the things that they talked about without giving his own opinion, except for one moment where he did also say that people who are calling the phenomenon demons or demonic are misguided. Their heart's in the right place, but they're misguided. I go, that's weird, because the only part that stuck out to me about this piece of propaganda that is Age of Disclosure is the only part that you're also tossing your opinion into, and you're in lockstep with it. That's really weird, especially from a guy who is Christian, right? And we kind of joked around in the show. We called it grandma maxing. Obviously, the Bible talks about the Great Commission. We are to go out and make disciples of men, right? Spread the good word, spread the gospel, make disciples of men. That's what the Great Commission is. But there is something to be said about what we've coined grandma maxing, which is to say, imagine an old woman who doesn't know anything about conspiracies, dude. She doesn't watch sci-fi films. She doesn't watch, disclosure news broadcasts or anything like that. She just loves the Lord with all her heart, stays in the Bible. And when these things arrive, she goes, those are demons. I'm not going to follow them. Those are demons. I'm following Jesus Christ. Sure. That lady's good. That lady is good. She's safe. Right. She's good. Her soul is safe, right? So why would you dismiss a character like that? Right. And then, what I was hoping to get into after we unpack this a little bit is the tremendous amount of overlap between demonic encounters and alien abductions. It's nearly a 1-to-1 ratio. They're virtually identical except for in their visage. But I just couldn't figure out why he was saying that. So that's why if you watch this this debate, he's saying a lot of things. And a lot of it is just crap that we've talked about for 200 to 300 episodes on Nephilim Death Squad. I don't have any desire to rehash it. I've just got this one thing that I need to address. But he is a weird kind of character. He comes on for the debate. He's very much in a bad mood. By the way, he asked for this debate. Oh, yeah, I know. I was dressed like him. But he asked for this debate over and over and over again.
For a month.
For a month. And we said no several times.
And he endured the beatings that we gave him throughout the time. Like, they were just like memes, all fun, lighthearted stuff. But we're giving an intellectual man every way out, right? If you claim to be an author and fake archaeologist or whatever, if you're dealing with somebody who is acting clownish, you have every right to go, I withdraw my proposal to debate you. You guys are clowns, I'm out.
Yeah.
He didn't.
He didn't.
We
even told him no.
We told him no
And he
like 3
still
or 4
kept
times.
asking for it. So, our behavior was silly in the beginning. And then, of course, during the debate, it wasn't as silly because it was weird. The energy was weird immediately. I don't want to get into the rehashing of all the... Sure. He levied a bunch of debate techniques that basically caused him to filibuster for a long time, minimize the amount of questions asked by filibustering, make 1,000 points, thereby you can't just address one. And it was all just really weird crap. I mean, really what we did was we gave him enough rope to hang himself, because even people who are well-researched, we had Ed Mabry on recently, who considers himself a student of Chuck Missler and Heiser and all these characters. And when we talked to him about it, he goes, I don't know what he was saying, which is, is that, whose fault is that? Is that the listener's fault, or is it your inability to articulate your ideas? And I would say that it's the latter. So, I just had that one thing that I wanted to highlight in this whole conversation was like, you're dismissing people. If you say this is the Antichrist is going to, come from disclosure, and I say that the alien phenomenon is demonic, wouldn't you be like, very close, dude? I agree with you. Let me add some extra information, some nuance. We're talking the same language here, but instead he's going, to pretty strenuous lengths to beat that idea down. I mean, even after we did the episode, he immediately called for an emergency episode with Blurry Creatures to get on and do the same thing, address this thing as aliens and demons, and very, very strange, man. But I think at the end of the day, besides the whole rebranding thing, one of the main focal points.
Have you ever done that?
Rebranded a thing?
No. Had an episode with somebody and then flew halfway across the country to...
It is literally halfway across the country. He's in Montana. They're in Tennessee. This dude got on a plane and went over there.
But like this whole thing strikes me as premeditated.
It's a little bit weird, yeah.
For whatever reason, the more I really think about it and parse it apart, like, you picked this out of nowhere. Well, first Blurry Creatures started following me on Twitter, and then you start calling us out for whatever reason.
In the same week, in the same 3 days, it was like Blurry Creature starts following him, and then all of a sudden he starts making subliminals about what seems to be us. It really seemed like the guy was putting his eggs in the basket that disclosure is going to be here soon, and it would be a good time to get some PR rolling, get loud about this. And we're kind of loud, viral characters on Twitter, and we're also kind of assholes. I think that he was like, I'm going to take these guys down. And instead it ended up being, I mean, like I said, we made a mockery of him with just memes. He is a guy that I enjoy him for a lot of his content, but he wants desperately to be taken seriously. And so we did a good job of making sure that wasn't the case. We got really silly with him and made fun of him in very childish but viral ways. And then we gave him enough rope to hang himself, where for whatever reason, he couldn't articulate any ideas in a 2.5-hour episode where he spoke for 95% of it. And we barely even did anything, man. But everybody's coming away looking at him going, what the hell? So
do you think, David, the main point of contention is just on this statement, aliens are demons? Do you think that's where the division is from?
I think that is a cleverly placed straw man. So if you're asking, we asked him, how do you define demons? It took him 50 minutes. I'll do it here right now.
Alberino, he writes when he talks. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Right, very coherently. It was
the same way when you're like reading a book and it's like long-winded and very explanatory and stuff. That's also how he talks. I've had dinner with him. That's how he is in person. Like, that's his personality, So when he goes on these long explanations and it takes like 5 minutes to define what a demon is, it's because that's how he is. That's just how he talks, Well, so I don't think he's intentionally, I can't say this for sure, trying to filibuster, It's just the way he discusses, or I'm sorry, it's just the way that he talks, even in person, at dinner. Asking a question and getting like a 10-minute response. I'm a nerd, so I love it. I'm like, okay, keep going, But if it's just, bro, what are you saying? And then it's a 15-minute explanation. I could see how it gets kind of frustrating.
Yeah, very frustrating, because in the email that was sent to him, I told him that it would be marketed as a debate, but realistically, it should only take 20 minutes. We had a couple of questions. And then I had a list of other I had like maybe 5 more bullet points. I was like, we're going to hit this, because I don't expect this to go on for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. So he had information that knew like what we were hoping to achieve in this conversation.
So he came in hostile, accused us of not releasing the episode, because we do like a 20-minute preview on YouTube, and then we cut the stream, and then the patrons will watch in its entirety until we edit and then re-release for the most impact, which is, I don't know if it's fairly common for people to do previews, but it's fairly common for people to pre-record, which he just did on Blurry Creatures. So it's disingenuous to act like you don't know what's going on. We explain it on the show, and he's like baffled by it. He's very nasty the whole time. And it's just like...
And then afterwards, he gets on Twitter and he accuses us again of not releasing the episode, even though it had only been a matter of a few days since the episode was recorded. So that's an interesting thing, because there's these straw mans that he's building up. For example, like, are aliens demons? Well, what is a demon? If we're going to use it for argument's sake, the disembodied spirit of the Nephilim. That's whoa.
I think most people agree on that, right?
Doesn't take 50 minutes to do. And I'm not saying that I don't enjoy the explanations when they're really thoughtful and at length like that. It's just that you challenged me to a debate.
Sure,
you didn't come on to have a podcast. You came on to smash a couple of dummies on the internet. So I wasn't interested in 50 minutes of filibustering. In fact, if anybody understands the format of a debate, it's probably Tim Alberino, considering I've never done one in my life.
If it was a fair debate, if it was set up like how he wanted, but I explained to him in the email, this is going to be pretty much it's like a conversation, but this part right here, we need to be concise. And he just waxed poetic for 50 minutes. It's like, dude, what are you doing, man?
So you asked if that was the main contention, right? Are aliens demons? I think it's not the main contention. It's a straw man, much like how he went on to Blurry Creatures immediately afterwards.
Are UFOs demons?
And did, are UFOs demons? I don't even know who in the space is saying UFOs are demons. I mean, obviously there's much more nuance here.
Yeah.
Strange way to frame this after our debate, to go on and say are UFOs demons is a strange move. So I would say the actual contention is maybe a little bit wordier than that. It's more, is the alien phenomenon, and as we currently see it, a rebranding of entities that are no longer in the grace of God and are against the kingdom of heaven? That is more accurate. And, if we're talking, then you get into a conversation, devils, demons, unclean spirits, Nephilim, fallen angels, etc. We can get into this, but he insists on dragging this straw man around on the internet and bonking it for everybody to point and laugh at anybody who utters the words, these things are demonic. And it's like, not every, if I tell you, be careful over there because that bear has its cubs and it's aggressive, and you go, well, what is a bear exactly?
Right.
And it's like, it's a mammal, but it doesn't matter. Like, this thing is aggressive and its children.
8 feet tall.
Okay, but why would it be aggressive because its children are around? Where's the correlation? Because, dude, for the sake of expedience and the fact that it seems like they're about to reveal aliens in this massive disclosure, we need to have a conversation. It's like, and I'm all for the nuance. But people have heard, our audience has heard the nuance. We go into it at length constantly. It's one of the topics that most commonly comes across the table on Nephilim Death Squad. And it's one that is meaningful to me because it looks like it's almost here. And that could not be the case. We've seen Will Cox get propped up as he was going to be the mouthpiece. And then we saw Stephen Greer get propped up like he was going to be the mouthpiece. And for decades and decades.
And now it's Bledsoe.
Now it's Bledsoe, or it's Elizondo, or whoever. So they always have their guy. It's like always having an Antichrist in position, right? Like you always have this.
We're not calling him the Antichrist. We're making the comparison.
Yeah, we're not calling him the Antichrist. We're just saying like having
I think he's a fat government
position.
slob, but
Bledsoe equals Antichrist. Okay, got
exactly.
it.
So,
noted.
Where I changed the name of the episode. Is Bledsoe the
Antichrist? I like that.
Some clicks.
So I was hoping that we could have, because that's pretty much the whole thing. And then afterwards, he denounced us on Twitter. He said that we weren't Christian. He warned people against us. And then we made him into a cat and we paraded him around, and we've just been making fun of him relentlessly. It has actually come to my attention this morning that he is very upset.
Very sad.
which is strange because I'm not upset. I'm having a good time. You're the one that denounced us, said that we were basically evil, said that we weren't Christian, that we were faking it. And we just made you into a cat, and we made a, Timothy Frappuccino or whatever. Like, it's just like all these silly things. And then it's, now because we have friends that know him or whatever, and he's upset. He's very upset by all this. I mean, dude, we still haven't even warned. Yeah. It's not like he made a, we're talking about filibusters, this whole lengthy post warning people not to interact with us. We could have done the same and said, I think Alberino is a Fed. I think he's misleading. We made him a cat.
Yeah.
And he's the one that's sad about it. It's a bizarre situation. I think this is a guy that, he's got a wealth of content and research that is valuable. And he's laid the way for a lot of guys like us in this space. But like I said, he just wants more than anything to be taken seriously right now. He wants to be close to the situation. He's having cigars with Elizondo and all this other crap. And a couple of guys came along and we made fun of him. We made him look silly. And that has bothered him to no end. Yeah. We could be bothered, could we not? You make a whole...
We could. Well, I should say you could, but he's been at this for decades. You know what I'm saying? And he's an OG. Like a lot of what we're tossing around and speculating on and hypothesizing about and creating podcasts about, like he's been in this long before, while we were still in diapers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I could see why he could feel slighted or belittled or get insulted.
Well, check this out,
when he's been doing this his whole life and putting this out there and being mocked. And listen, I'm not defending him. We're shooting the shit here as boys. And he put this information out there and was mocked for decades. And now finally everybody's catching up, especially the Christians, because we've been behind the mockery for the most part when it comes to this topic within Christianity. You know what I'm saying? We've been the worst about it. And now it's finally being revealed, like, hey, there's actually government officials, right, who are coming out and saying, no, that stuff's true. That stuff's right. And instead of being like, hoorah, we're vindicated, then you get people who have been at this for the past like 3 years or however long. I don't know how long you guys have been at the game, and make the cat memes and the Indiana Jones and the stuff. So I can see why he could get offended. You know what I mean?
I'm honestly just surprised that he got offended.
Well, no,
he's also of a different ilk. I'm sure you guys grew up online and we understand the
Halo chat rooms, Call of Duty chat rooms.
Exactly. Dude, while we were playing Halo and saying naughty words on the internet, he was in Peru. You know what I'm saying? So I just think we're of a different cut. Because if you and I were involved in that kind of back and forth, I'd be cracking up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we get crap online all the time. I don't care. I find it funny. I hit right back. It's just the game. But if somebody who doesn't get that is a recipient of it, they're just not going to get it, and they're going to take it the wrong way.
Don't ask for it.
Yes,
This is the theme of this thing. Like, we didn't ask for this. We actually the first time we interviewed him, after I think both of us agreed, like, if we never interview him again, who gives a shit? But you came and you wanted to take down this narrative, whatever. It's not our narrative. This is a narrative of L.A. Marzulli or, any of these guys, the guys you used to mess with, Heiser, Quayle. These are that's their narrative. I've read their books. I've watched their documentaries. I think that they're correct. We just kind of not just repeat it, but we say it again, and we add more current evidence that comes up in current events. Sure. That's all that we're doing. You picked us. Why? Who told you? Who told you to pick us? And it's not like you didn't know us either. You had a conversation with us before.
And in fact, while you were still asking for it, we were doing all the silly things that we just talked about him being unprepared for.
Yes.
And so we did it for a month. But the thing is like, after the conversation, like, he has been doing this for a long time, but he comes off with this air of expertise, like he's the final say on things. besides the idea that he's going to argue about the nature of the spirit realm, like in the thing, it basically made it seem like he didn't believe in a spirit realm. And that's fine, because I think it's a vocabulary issue.
He's got an interesting take on that. I totally disagree on.
Well, here's the thing I really disagree with is you're going to sit here and tell me that the alien phenomenon, the abduction phenomenon, is always physical. And then you're going to say that the data is settled and all the experts agree. How dare you appeal to experts in a thing that the vast majority of the scientific community won't even look at as a reality? And only now recently are we coming to a place where it seems like disclosure is going to happen. You know, you said before, you don't know how long we've been doing this. We've been doing Nephilim Death Squad for 2 years now, a little bit over 2 years. But I've been a conspiracy theorist for 20 years. Mm-hmm. My grandmother was an abductee victim. Dang. This is something that I know a lot about. Wow. And you can put my own information to bed. We have on people like you can see right above Top's head there in his shot, Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest. That's Karen Wilkinson. She's part of L.A. Marzulli's team.
Mm-hmm. She was in the chat when we were doing this show.
And she was freaking out. She was freaking out because there are a lot of testimonies of abductees, and you'll get a lot of patterns emerge, you know, from one abductee experience to the next. There's a whole bunch of patterns, but people will commonly say sometimes it seems like it's physical. Other times it seems to happen in like an astral or a spiritual realm. And look, that's all anecdotal. It's not concrete. You can't prove it. So I'm not going to say that it's definitive, but for you to sit across from me and say, this is strictly a physical phenomenon. Now I have to come down and say, you're talking out of your ass, which is fine, right? It's fine to speculate, but don't tell me that the data is settled. The experts agree. If I introduce something to somebody who's unaware of that information, typically they'll say, that's fascinating. I actually never heard that before. I'm going to look into it and get back to you, right? That's like a reasonable thing to do. I'm not somebody who knows everything, and I'm wrong about a lot of crap. If you bring something to the table and you show me it and I've never seen it before, I'd go, that's fascinating. I don't know. I never heard that before. I got to look into that. This dude goes, no. The data is settled. This is always a physical phenomenon.
Well, not only that, he said at one point, he was like, this is the data from verifiable, reliable sources of abductees. And Karen Wilkinson is in the chat. So I pull up her comment and I go, like her, like she said, I've done 1,000 interviews of abductees and they do say that it is spiritual as well. And I said, what about this? And they just shoo it away. So it's like, okay, so you're just operating on like your set of facts, which is fine.
Weird. This gets weird.
But we all just lived through 2020 where people were operating on their set of facts and it got people killed. Right. And that's kind of what got me into this space. I'm pretty sure that that's probably what got you into talking into a microphone as well. Like the lies, the craziness out there. You're like, I better say something myself because no one else is saying it. Yeah. So now I have to watch a guy who I kind of admired before, trust the science.
Yeah. Trust the experts.
Absolutely not. And I have to, not only that, but I have to show you respect while we do this. No, as a matter of fact, I'm like, I'm actually disheartened that this is the position that somebody like him will take. Mm-hmm. Somebody that has done the research, that has been on the ground. And now when you're this close to the finish line, I don't want to say you sold out, but it looks like that. You know, it looks like you decided to just take the bag, man.
And I don't know how you separate these. So one of the big things that makes it so that I can never separate demonic encounters from the alien abduction phenomenon is the idea that any amount of alien abductions have ever been stopped by calling on Christ. And Alberino acknowledges this fact, and he'll say, but it doesn't always work.
Say that again.
That any alien abductions at all have ever been stopped by calling on Jesus Christ. This is something that you will find. Remember, I talked about the patterns that emerge.
Well, this was on the first show that we discussed this with him. We were like, well, what do you make of the fact that alien abductions do stop on a dime when people call in the name of Jesus Christ? And he admits himself, not all the time. Correct. I agree. But a lot of the time, I don't know what the percentage is, but something like 50-50 to the people who we've spoken to. So, all right, if that's 10% of the time, or like David said, if that's one time, we have to now address why that works. What happened here?
So, because now we're in a place where we're admitting it's real.
Yeah.
The aliens are real and they're going to be disclosed. And the experts all agree that the Greys are real and maybe they're bad. But what about the Insectolins and what about the Pleiadians? Okay, wait. so they're real, right?
Right.
And it turns out that in some of these experiences, in my experience, it's a lot of them. And the testimony that we come across, a lot of them, you'll see people in the comments, no doubt, of this episode that will say that exact fact. I've had the alien abduction phenomenon happen to me. I stopped it in the name of Jesus Christ. We get emails about it. We listen to testimony about it. You can go and listen to shows like Tony Merkel's The Confessionals, and you will find hundreds by now. He's like episode 800. Hundreds of those episodes are alien abductions that stop in the name of Jesus Christ. And you want to separate that? That is a coincidence that it feels foolish to even use the word coincidence. We have to analyze
you think that's
that.
what Tim's trying to do, is separate those two things?
Well, he did
or do you
number.
think he's trying to be more like meticulous about the language and the details?
Well, I'm done with giving him the benefit of the doubt. I think we did that to a fair amount, and now his behavior just looks nefarious along the lines of other government operatives like Lou Elizondo and people like that. It just looks like he's there to push this one specific narrative, and whatever gets in the way of that, hell or high water. So before,
you think he's pushing the same narrative as Lou and these guys?
Well, it's interesting because Lou is barely pushing a narrative. It's very subtle,
he's
right?
He's really not.
Yeah, all that Lou has done is just come out and rehash a bunch of the old information that we've already had access to. And like I said, the small trespassing that I noticed, which is a seed that does bloom into something much larger, especially if you consider what the New Age says about this coming alien, revelation, whether it's Blavatsky or Alice Bailey or even the mystic Baba Vanga. They're all talking about how aliens are going to come 25, 26, right? And this is going to cause, and this is what is believed within the New Age or Gnostic religions, is that it's going to cause a falling away from the other world religions and a consolidation under one religion, right? And so if that's going to be the case, I think what we're seeing here is this seed of doubt being placed. It's going to lay the groundwork, right? These things are going to offer us technology. The main thing that these guys are talking about, especially Tim too, the technology. Look at all of the bad that's happening because these things are hidden and they're not being brought out into the open. And when you have like a black operation, where there's what would you call it, like black market trading and all this, people get murdered in it, people get trafficked because of it. Like all this bad comes from not having this out in the open.
His argument, which is insane to me, was like, there's a lot of human traffickers that are operating because of the disclosure narrative that's being suppressed. So then shouldn't we support the other human traffickers to release the disclosure?
It doesn't
and I'm like, no, all these people are on Epstein's Epstein's flight log. No, Tim, we shouldn't. Yeah. This is not QAnon stuff. And stop mixing that in the Bible.
It is interesting because he seems to be like, there is like this kind of white hats, black hats, QAnon thing that he's almost like subtly presenting. But I think if you plant that seed of doubt that these things, aren't demonic and that Christians have stood in the way of it, like I said earlier at the top of the show, once they introduce these technologies, exotic technologies that are 0 point, this and that, then people are going to look to anybody who's trying to stand in the way of that and be like, whoa, wait, these things are demonic, right? You think about old gods and what they have typically done for the people who worship them, right? Any of the pantheons, they introduced to them various technologies, right? If you're looking at the Michael Heiser worldview, you look at agriculture, you look at metallurgy and things of that nature as primitive versions of technology. These things have always given mankind advancements in exchange for worship and sacrifice. And I think the same thing is happening here. The parallels that you could draw between this phenomenon and that phenomenon are, they just call them coincidences or whatever. They pile up to a degree that is pretty staggering, and it paints a really alarming picture. But I think that even though Elizondo is not leading, he's not leading with this overt agenda. And I think that's smart. You don't want to go with like some overt agenda. You want to plant a little tiny seed of doubt.
Right.
But when it comes to introducing these technologies to us, if they do alleviate cancer, expendable fuel sources, you name it, if the economy crashes, but the introduction of these exotic technologies fixes it, if we're ushered into a veritable utopia, like in the film or the book, Childhood's End, and anybody stands up and goes, no, the things that gave us all these wonderful things are demonic.
Right.
People aren't going to like that.
Yeah. Cut their head off.
And that's the thing too, is I'm trying to understand where is the good alien? You know, because Tim kind of is alluding to this idea, like, you know, not all of them are bad. If there are demonic ones, not all of them are demonic. And I'm like, well, what's the mark here? Is giving us exotic technologies the mark? Because you know, the old gods, the lowercase g gods, were loved and revered, right? You think people, if you subscribe to the Heiser, you know, worldview, you think that the Greeks didn't revere the pantheon? You think they didn't love them? You think they weren't grateful for whatever things that they received from them? So I just don't know what the mark is. And I asked him a tricky little question. I said, there are those who are in opposition to God, and then there are those who are still in the grace of God. Is there any neutral aliens? And he goes, yeah, well, actually there is. And then he goes on this whole tangent. And then I say, well, Jesus Christ says, if you're not with me, you're against me. Thereby, there are no neutral parties, right? You are either for the Lord or you're against the Lord. And he just kept it moving. Didn't address it, did some more word salad. And I'm just like, I don't want to attribute being a Fed to a guy. But at the very least, what I can attribute is you're doing such a piss poor job of articulating your ideas. It is causing confusion at a time where you need not be confused. If this is really on the horizon, you got to be focused on God and ready to dismiss these things as demonic. And instead, he's just muddying the shit out of the waters. But people are letting him do it because he wears the hat or he wears the Wakanda necklace, and he has this admittedly fantastic marketability. He is a guy that is articulate, well-researched, and has a look. And if you wanted to put that guy in a position, that would be a great character to do it with. And I don't know if that's where he's fallen these days, but it is muddying the waters is at the least what he's guilty of.
Yeah, I do wish we were all on the same page, not in terms of like, hey, what do you think this is? And we all need to agree, but on the page of, hey, this is happening. It's official. We need to prepare first and foremost the church, because I think there's going to be a lot of people that are deceived and that are going to go wayward as a result of this stuff. How many people do you think when their pastor stands up and is like, did you guys see that thing in the air on the news this weekend?
Yeah.
How many people in their church do you think is going to be like, why is that not in the Bible? I'm leaving. I bet you that's going to happen. I guarantee you that's going to happen. But we need to be on the same page in terms of preparing the church, right? The body, the bride. And then, like I said in the beginning of this thing, owning this conversation and having these explanations now. Because if we don't, then we get the Bledsoes owning the conversation. Then we get Joe Rogan owning the conversation. Then we get Lou Elizondo owning the conversation. So even if we have like a diversity of opinion on what these things are, I wish we had a like Christian unified front to go on the offensive in regards to this topic. And it's almost there. Like it is happening. You have like the Prophecy Watchers guys, the Blurry Creatures guys, the I guess Alberino, I don't know which, he's been on all of their shows, and I mean including ours as well. And then you have us. I would say feel free to disagree here, and I don't mean to like bring you into my barrel here, but I would say we're like the bottom of the barrel. You know what I'm saying? And we're working on it. We're doing our best to get these opinions out there and to wake people up, and we're doing our best, right? But these guys, like somebody like Alberino, might be uniting with people like Elizondo and these dudes who are actually in positions that can make a big difference. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to make a big difference when it comes to like what the military believes, what the government believes. We can make a difference in the lives of, I don't know, a few thousand watchers here and there. You know what I'm saying? But if Alberino's goal is to try to wake up as many people as possible to a reality that there is this otherworldly or he's not going to say supernatural, right? Because he doesn't believe in the spiritual realm per se. He's going to say it's extraterrestrial. So if his goal is to wake people up to the reality that there is something else out there, he's probably going to align with people who are in positions of authority and power, who can be movers and shakers, who are going to also spread that message, as opposed to aligning with us at the bottom of the barrel, who don't have as big of a reach and can't move and shake things as much. You see what I'm saying? So I could see both sides, man. I just hope that we don't divide the body as much as unite at a pivotal moment. And we would agree, this is a pivotal moment. You know what I'm saying? Because
he's done a great job of that, of dividing.
But it always takes two to tango. You know what I'm saying? And I hope you guys can reconcile at some point. Don't draw the line in the sand and like be those guys. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see another conversation, one that's not hostile, where you guys both get to share different opinions on the subject. Because let's be honest, there's a lot going on. It's not aliens are demons. Okay, but then what about the insect things? Okay, but then what about fallen angels? Like, those are not categorically demons. You know what I'm saying? They're a whole other thing. There's such a variety of evil going on in Satan's like attack and deception. We have no idea what he's doing. We're clueless to how deep this deception goes and how strategic he's been implementing it for millennia. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. All we have, and this is on Christians, all we've had so far is demons, or if you want to go there and be really crazy, fallen angels. You know what I'm saying? But there's so much more going on. There's so much more going on. Have you guys heard of Nathaniel Gillis?
Yeah, we've actually been chatting him up. He's been on the show a couple of times.
Great.
And we have him scheduled again for March. And, you know, to your point,
another dude who's not very happy with the shit that Alberino's been saying. But yeah, we know. And I also want to say,
okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well,
no, you go ahead. Sorry.
I would say it's because Nathaniel understands and is like displaying through evidence and data that the deception is very multifaceted. It's not just one thing. It's not just, hey, there's metal crafts coming from other planets and there's little guys inside that we've like confiscated when they've crashed. It's not just that. Then you've got the abductees, you've got the sigils under skin, you've got people who say that there are practitioners doing occultic rituals which are causing these abduct. Like, there's so much going on. It's much
huge.
Bigger than we've been led to believe. And it almost seems as if Alberino's picked one angle to the deception.
You know what's funny too, Ben, is he knows what our thoughts are on it, because I tweeted at him and I said this whole thing, it's multifaceted, right? This includes hybridization program. It includes reverse engineered technology. It includes military intelligence. It includes programs like MK Ultra, disassociative states in human beings,
satanic ritual
abuse,
rituals,
frequency warfare. It also includes parasites. It includes black mold. This thing is massive.
Electricity. Yeah.
I said that to him.
Governments, like,
and you know what he did? He ignored it. He ignored that one tweet and would only address some of the sillier things that we say.
And herein lies the problem. I agree 100% with what you said about Alberino picking this one stance. And he actually, when he asked us, I said, hey, if I'm not going to answer the question to pick a side, but if I was a guy that was making documentaries 10 years ago and kind of lost popularity and wanted to pick up that steam again and got a foothold in these and got on big shows like Glenn Beck and Michael Knowles,
Sean Ryan,
when I get the opportunity, if I was really desperate enough, I would pick the side of these guys, because that's exactly what he did. But here's the problem. It's like, I'm going to join the government to fight the government. Do you see how stupid this is?
It is QAnon.
It's
there are
QAnon.
White hats within the government, and there are black hats.
It's also like a weird boomer trap. Like, boomers love this line of
the binary
thinking. Yeah, the binary line of thinking. And I'm like, that's not an option. From the political realm where I came in, I seen people get into politics, get chewed up and spit out. They go in, they make deals and they ruin their reputation. Dan Bongino is just like one of the first people that comes to mind. But like,
sure,
many lower level people as well. They go in, you make a little bit of a deal here, you sacrifice your soul. And I think right now we're playing a little bit more on the soul level rather than reputation and money. So go ahead and do that. Feel free to do that. But I just disagree with you. And now from the bizarre the standpoint is that's like, okay, cool. You're free to think that. We're also free to not associate with you, which I was fine with. After I heard your nonsense on our show face to face, I was like, whatever. Why do you call us out? Why can't there exist another standpoint of this phenomenon? Why when we bring up Michael Heiser, you immediately it's like the palpable rejection of his name, because now there's like this other player. He's probably glad that he's gone, but there's this other player in the room that has a much more impressive body of work than you do, and you guys cannot coexist for whatever reason. Why? Why not? Why can't we have a body of Christ where, we're kind of like saying, this thing from this angle, and I'm totally open to what he's saying. Like, I love the nuts and bolts aspects of what he brings to the table.
Sure.
But when we're talking about something that is a little bit more spiritual or supernatural, reject it to the point where it has to go where you're calling for my career. And that's another thing when we're talking about reconciliation. Don't call for how I feed my children to be canceled. I've already been canceled enough in the last 7 years of doing this shit. You're not going to do that. And when you do, now we're going to play. So that's why it's been kind of a little nasty, and that's why he's not doing so good right now.
And look, it's the nastiness.
Don't do that. That's crazy.
The nastiness is one thing. We're not the ones who said no. You know what I mean? Like, we made fun of him, and he doesn't have a sense of humor, so that kind of landed poorly on him.
He does have a sense of humor, but like
he made some jokes that were like, but he went out, publicly denounced us, said we weren't Christian, warned people against us. We were never the ones who said, don't listen to, even still, after all this, I'll say, like, those documentaries, the True Legends documentaries, they're great. They're bangers. You know, this guy, along with a bunch of other people, really did pave the way for guys like us. Yeah. I've not laid any line in the sand. I'm only pointing to a thing that I see. He's the guy that is outwardly rejecting
I'd also like to say
other
this.
information that doesn't mesh with his worldview. That's the problem.
It's also nice to have respect for the people who came before you, but as a guy who, like, I didn't just start doing this 2 years ago. I've been in this whatever media realm for probably 8 years now in different niches. I've worked for video companies, and I've seen all the niches. I've seen how these communicates, like, these communities organically grow, and I've seen the older guard, and like the life cycle of the old guard in these communities is like, it's like a running back, like 4 years or something like that. Like, these guys are going and then they're out. And I've seen these cycles happen in, German Minecraft. I used to work for them. Political realms. I used to work with like Nick Fuentes and these people. The comedian realm. I worked for Louis J. Gomez, did the biggest comedy festival in America. The Christian conspiracy realm. I've done all these things and I've seen it. When you have guys coming up underneath you, you'd be wise to foster them. Don't try to shit on them. Don't try to take their career. Have a conversation with them. Even if you disagree with them, platform them, share them, like, obviously vet them, see what they're about, but share and help them through. These guys don't live like that, and that's fine. A guy like Sam Tripoli does live like that. And Sam Tripoli is doing very well because that's just like a law of nature here. Yeah. So what's happening here is maybe we have an older guard trying to protect the bag. Completely wrong move. They've picked a side with the government that could care less about them. Instead of picking the side of this whatever Christian body or these people that are coming up next to you that do revere you, you've decided to disregard them. That's fine. But it's just the wrong move because the community at large is swaying in our direction. That's just how things go. And
which is why he's experiencing that right now.
Yeah, you're experiencing that full force. That's why I put that pressure on you so that you could see that you could feel that, so that your wife eventually has to create a Twitter to argue with us because it's gotten that severe for you. You just don't do that to people.
Yeah.
But they have, and that's a vital mistake. And I think he's going to learn.
Yeah. And that's the problem is like, he's used to engaging in this information and with this topic in a place that's like pretty well, not received by a large body of people, right? It's a niche. And
that's the thing too. Like you're operating within this very niche area. And because you have some contacts that are in the government or bigger okay, but you're looking at us, and no offense to you, you're looking at us as well as like, we're like bottom of the barrel. Not necessarily. Like I don't know.
Said, feel free to disagree.
No,
I am at the bottom of the barrel.
But that could change tomorrow. But it's really about the people that you know. If I wanted to make a phone call right now to, you name it, we can call them right now. We can get people to come and visit us in the city from across the country. So it's like, you're dealing like I understand what I guess he thought it was, but you're dealing with a different animal, and you should show some respect, because if it was somebody else that he decided to do this to, he probably would have just ran right through him. And then what happens to that dude? It's like, that's messed up, man.
That's actually what I do think he was trying to do.
But they did this to Blurry Creatures, did this to one of our boys. You try to you blacklist people, say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. This is done.
What do you think? What do you think's the motivation behind people in this space, especially again as Christians? There's only like a handful of people doing this thing, right? So, what do you think the motivation is behind the antagonism towards the up-and-comers?
Well, number one, it's protecting their narrative. That's what it is. It's also this famine thinking. It's like this idea of, well, there's only so many, Christian conspiracy theorists. Let's say that there's 700,000 of them out there, and I've got 250,000. It's like, these are my audience. It's like, as Christians, you're not called to fight over a pre-existing audience. The entire world is your audience. Yeah, you canceled us from your audience of boomers. Okay, there's an entire world that we're supposed to be talking to and bringing these revelations to and telling them about God and telling them about all this crazy, interesting, fun stuff. We do it in a specific way with comedy, but it's like, you think you're gonna cut people off from the rest of it? It's an insane way to think.
It is. It's
and it's a
Barry
dead
Texan said it. Fear.
It's a dead way to think. Yeah, when you think that way, like there is a limit to what you're gonna do here. Like, I guess Tim's limit is like, I've reached this point. I better make a deal and push to this side and push this government narrative. It's like, nah, man, that's not what we're called to do. You're called to tell the truth. And I think you know the truth, but you're cleaved to, well, be careful who you cleave yourself to. And you're cleaved to some strange stuff right now, and the fruits are rotten.
Mm-hmm. And I just, like I said, I can't get past that idea that you would make this straw man and be its ass all over the internet. That straw man being, if you think these are demons, you're an idiot. It's like, they flee at the name of Christ. And you're going to shut that conversation down in that flippant way? That's insane. That's insane. And if you look at his Twitter and you look at his appearances and you look at his, his videos, it's like he's saying this a lot. And it's just a weird sticking point. It's a weird thing for him to be parodying.
Well, if I had a book that said the opposite, I guess I'd have to protect it.
And it's like, are we crazy for looking at that? You're like, why would this dude do this? Why would you say this so flippantly? Why would you straw man this? You do an episode, Are UFOs demons? Who in the space is even saying that? What Christian conspiracy content creator is making episodes about UFOs are demons? UFOs are the disembodied spirits of Nephilim. Is that who's saying that? Because I don't know anybody that's saying that. Why are you making that the title of your episode right after you did this with us? There's this reductive straw man that you see fit to beat the crap out of all over the internet. These things flee at the name of Jesus Christ, dog. This should be the most vital thing as Christians, right? We should all be coming together across all of our different platforms and looking at that. Wait. These things flee when you call on Jesus? What are we talking about here? If they're about to be disclosed, we all need to be hammering this topic, but you're dissuading people from it? And then all of a sudden I look over and you've got a book that is not in alignment with that.
It's just weird because
is that what you're doing? Like,
it reeks of like someone in the Instagram comments said it's territorial rather than truth. And that's what it reeks of. But it's like, we've already seen that play out in the comedy sphere in a big way. So the guy that I worked for, Louis J. Gomez, he's in the New York City comedy scene, relatively low-level comedian. He has a show, Legion of Skanks, and that show was disregarded and pushed to the side by people who were, this is how comedy is. This is what we do.
Of comedy.
Yeah, this is how stand-up is. We don't do it that way. The podcast is not. And he said, okay, and he just kept doing it. And now, today, after this is just a short amount of time, maybe 4 years, 3 years, now any comedian that's making this circuit, you go on Legion of Skanks and you kiss the ring. That's the way it is. And that's the way things move here. And it's kind of like they don't get that, and they're trying to make this small club. And unfortunately, I don't think you can do that anymore. That's just not how the world works anymore. We're moving in a weird direction. So
yeah.
And look, I know you said that you wanted to see, this sort of no division in the body of Christ. And I agree with that. No, and I think that's a fair thing to be hopeful for. And you're definitely not in the wrong place for wanting that. It's just like, to me, it's less about Tim and it's more about the narrative. It's a dangerous one. It's a dangerous thing to spread doubt about. All I care about is the truth. I care about what is it? The Great Commission, make disciples of men. That's what we're called to do. You're doing something that's very strange. It's casting doubt on Christian concerns of the demonic nature of these things. And you're doing it at a time where we can't afford that because it looks like it's about to happen. It's not about Tim, dude. It's about that. Like I was praying going into that episode that if there was anything that I could do, it was have people come away feeling more grounded in the suspicion that these things are demonic. That's it. It's not to come away and trounce Tim. It's not to get numbers from the debate. It's about y'all are going to do some bullshit disclosure, and I need people to consider heavily that these things are demonic. That's it. So it doesn't matter who it is, dude. It doesn't matter if it's a pastor from my church. It doesn't matter if it's a close personal friend. If you're going around and you're saying that's not what I believe is happening here. That's not what the testimony tells us. That's not what the experience of the abductee tells us. That's not what all of the strange coincidences of the hybridization program virtually mirroring what the Nephilim themselves are, right? You're trying to create a branch between our species and your species, and that's what the black-eyed children are. When we talk to Karen Wilkinson and she's telling us what these things are doing, like, that's not what the information says. So I have to push back against that. This is not anything personal against Tim. It just so happened that he's dressed funny.
Damn. Okay. It's almost as if we're talking about the same topic as Tim, but he's associated with people that focus on one angle of it. Okay. Nuts and bolts, tiny green men. And what do they call it? Like non-biologic, or what do they call it? The
non-human
NHI.
Yeah, non-human intelligences. Yeah, non-human
intelligence. Okay,
and they also say non-human biologics. That's what they said after they, back in like 2019.
So when you go to like Congress, okay, and you're part, or you've been part of the either the disclosure or the crash retrievals or the non-human biologic retrievals or whatever. If you go before Congress and you're like, there's demons, they've been coming and going, they're possessing people, kidnapping people, the crop circles, you're going to get laughed out of there. You know what I'm saying? You got to be very, very specific with your language. That's why they have UAP now instead of UFO, right?
NHI,
NHI. That's why they have all these little like terms, is because they're saying the thing without saying the thing, right? Yeah. And that's why I want to give a little bit. I know you guys have had
No. I know exactly where you should go. Can I say something to that point then? Because I hear exactly. Go ahead. Let me
just finish real quick, okay? And so because that's the audience that they're catering to, is they're trying to get actual government, because there's a lot of government shit going on too in relation to all of this. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to approach it from like a government, serious people perspective, right? Whereas we are just down the rabbit hole. Like, we don't give a shit about your language. We don't care about the acronyms you're using. We're not trying to be polite, and we're not trying to get anybody's vote or money to go have approval to go do anything. You know what I'm saying? We're just out here spitting truth, talking about what we think it is, getting people who have had these experiences on to talk about it. We're talking about insectolands. We're talking about in the ocean. We're talking about interdimensional. We're talking about maybe other planets. We're talking about orbs. We're talking about nuts and bolts. We're talking about all of this stuff. They can't go and present that to Congress. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like we're in two totally different realms. war on one side, they're on the other. And it seems like Tim, because he's OG, serious, and has a body of work behind him, right? It seems like he's picked a side that he wants to align with. And it's not necessarily that he disregards like everything from our side, but it's not going to present well with who he thinks are probably the movers and shakers. That's how I see the situation. You know what I'm saying? Because if I remember correctly, and I was listening to you guys' episode in like while doing other stuff, so I could be remembering this wrong. He said it's not that he doesn't think they're demonic, as in their agenda, right? Nefarious, evil, right? Mm-hmm. He just said he doesn't think that they are specifically demons, which we already know, we've agreed are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, right?
Right.
So when the little green man shows up because his UFO crashed, that's not a disembodied spirit of the Nephilim, which I think might be what he thinks we're saying when we say, hey, those are demons. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. And we could have had that conversation once again if he didn't frame it as a debate, because everything that you just laid out are things that we've talked about across a multitude of episodes on this show. And we even went into this with the presupposition that we were going to agree on far more than we disagreed with. It was only until we started smelling bullshit, something was up. There was like there was a purpose to this. And then, seeing some of the things he was saying in the past being inconsistent, but we did give him that opportunity during the show.
I could see him think that this is discrediting what they're actually trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I could
bottom
see that.
of the barrel, a couple thousand views. No, it's true. Okay, so but in comparison to Age of Disclosure,
20 million.
Why are you wasting time with us? Great question.
That is a great question.
After I told you no.
Oh, and you're thinking that it might be like his intent might be nefarious.
It's hard to figure out the why.
It's hard to figure it. So on one hand,
I would assume it's because he's actually like trying to help.
But he knows what we think. In fact, I made it really clear to him. I told him multifaceted, military intelligence, reverse engineered technology, biomechanical organisms that can be inhabited by spirit, just a whole plethora of shit. I laid it out for him so that he had an idea. And let me tell you, there's no way, he just ignored it. He just ignored it. I did give him an opportunity. I said, look, if this was something that maybe, let's say you were a guy who's been in this space for a long time and you were trying to get close because you wanted to be a voice for Christianity when Disclosure was popping off, maybe you would be on a podcast and you might let out a small meow. And he didn't do the meow. So I don't think that...
Fatal error.
I think it was a fatal error. I don't think it was true then that he was actually kind of a double agent. But I think also the thing that stands in the face of that is he knows what we believe. We've had him on the show before, and we did a pretty decent job of laying out. It was not as contentious at all. And we were able to get into conversations about theory on this matter. I also sent him the tweet that explained to him that I think this is a multifaceted phenomenon. And then he still denounced us afterwards. He denounced us. He said that we weren't Christian. He warned people against interacting with us. What's going on there? If you're like a dude who's trying to get close to this scenario because you want to be a representation of Christianity when Disclosure pops off, do it. But why warn thousands and thousands of people against us? Why say that we're not Christian? What's going on here?
If you came to me and you were like, I'm going to sell my soul to the government, I'd tell you, good luck.
Godspeed, brother.
See you later.
Yeah.
That's it. And then I have a show to do. We do 7 shows a week. I can't be messing with you over here. But you picked this.
Yeah.
You kept on pushing it. And that's the question. It's why do you care about what I'm doing? This is small fry stuff.
The whole thing, I think the whole thing, the only way it makes sense to me, Ben, is why would you set out to talk to us? Well, you had a thing you wanted to achieve. Maybe it was beating the shit out of your straw man on a show that goes viral. Okay, That's what you came here to do. And then why did you react the way that you reacted afterwards, where you denounced us and said that we weren't Christian? Because you looked like shit and it didn't go the way that you wanted it to go. That lens is actually very simple. You had a thing. It didn't pan out the way you wanted it to. You freaked out on us, and you told everybody that we were evil and not to associate with us.
You're still freaking out.
He's still freaking out, dude. He's tweeting about us daily. He's in our comment section on YouTube giving us filibusters that look like they're generated by ChatGPT. It's bizarre. And meanwhile, we're just over here having fun, making jokes. And every once in a while, we're forced to stop and go, why is this happening?
Right.
Like, why is this dude doing this? Why is he freaking out? And then we're getting phone calls from people that are talking to him, and they're like, he is upset. Why is he upset? We let him talk nearly uninterrupted for 95% of the episode. And what's the consensus? If you look at the comments on it, they're like, I don't even know what he said. Oh, well, that he said this. He goes, well, I casted pearls before swine, meaning we're swine and we're idiots and we're too intellectually stunted to understand what he's saying. We talked to a researcher who's a student of Chuck Missler and of Heiser, and he comes on, he goes, I don't know what he said. It didn't make any sense. So, okay, you failed to articulate your ideas. You made yourself look like an a-hole. We got real silly with you. The optics were the opposite of what you wanted in this rather crucial time where it seems like you really want to be situated next to Elizondo smoking a cigar with him. And so you freaked out on us. And, dude, fine. You want to be the agent. You want to get close. You want to introduce Christianity to this thing, but you have to do it in a serious way. Why do you have to say that we're not Christian? Why do you got to try to destroy what we're doing in order to do that?
Do you think? But he didn't start there. You know what I'm saying? He got there after
things didn't go the way that that he wanted.
Where did he start? He started by calling us retarded, and then being very pissy. And I've never done an interview with somebody that came in.
Oh my God, it was so weird.
Pissed. I mean, you were dressed as
did you guys ever go hard against anybody before having them on?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Not on the show.
Well, no, I mean, on my other show, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a comedy show, though. On this show, because we're dealing with, like, intangible conspiracy-related information. So even if we don't agree with your theory, if we can see how you got there, it's like, who am I to say that you're definitively wrong? We're dealing in information that is hard to, it's hidden from us. It's obscured from us. So, like, we never did that on the show. We've done it on like Twitter and stuff, but that was, it was rarely conspiracy related. It was more like comedy related. And to be honest, he's seen that. He's been on our show, but he probably doesn't remember because he goes on so many shows. I know he's seen us on Twitter. And we've carved out a name for ourselves. So I think he looked at us like, oh, these guys, they're not very smart because we don't go on Twitter posting filibusters about
you don't take
theology
yourself seriously.
And it's just not the place for it, in my personal opinion. It's a great place to take down like political characters, and shit like that. But it's not a great place to post, long-winded theology or thoughtful conspiracy or anything like that. And maybe it is, but that's not what I use it for. But it doesn't matter. We've posted a certain thing. He's seen it. I think he characterizes as that. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me through any other lens. Except
what do you think about like what happened here?
I think you guys have a certain style and personality type, and I get it because we're of the same cloth. Okay. Having like hung out with Alberino, having had dinner with him and his wife and stuff, and reading his book and engaging with him personally, like we are very different from him. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's two different personality types that are playing in the same sandbox in a very different way, and I do think there was some unintended like bad blood that came about. But if you guys, how can I put this? If the goal is for the body to prosper in a very serious time, that's before us. Okay. I don't know if this will help, or if it will just further divide, which we just can't be further divided. There's so much damn division in every single aspect of everything. And now for it to enter this space, and it's not just, oh, we disagree. This is like a Candace and a, I don't know what the other side is. Alex Jones riff. You know what I'm saying? It's that divisive where it's going to be people taking sides within the sandbox, rather than us just disagreeing and still playing in the same sandbox. Now we're going to build separate sandboxes.
Well, that's my thing though, Ben, is like, I like denounced him or told anybody to not watch him. Or in fact, I've actually said that he still has a lot to offer.
Like we are not, again, we're not the people that interview people, don't air it. That's not what we do. If people have differing opinions, you can go on our show. We just had a Baptist preacher on that was saying
gay people can't be saved.
Well, and also what we should do to them.
Yeah, wait,
facts. What should happen?
Where were you guys going with that?
It doesn't matter where we're going.
I agree with that. Actually, I think that you have to come out of that in order to really be a true Christian, because that is sin. I don't think we should, take you off the earth, which this dude is. Well, the point is that, like, cool, feel free to say that. He also said, the son, his argument about the Nephilim is that they are the sons of Seth rather than B'nai Elohim.
No.
Right. And I just go, I invited him on to have that conversation. I completely disagree. The name of the show is Nephilim Death Squad. I'm not changing it to Sons of Seth.
Sons of Seth.
But
Seth.
I can have the conversation. I mean, it's a banger name.
It's Sons of
SOSDS. It's not.
It's not that bad.
But
the point is, it's like, look, you come on, you have a totally different opinion. As long as we can agree, Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Come and die for our sins, is the narrow path.
Didn't
the way to
agree
redemption.
with much with that guy.
Right.
But the episode is up there. If you
episode
go and see it.
We don't do that to anybody.
We've had Dustin Nemos on a number of times who we don't really talk to anymore, but I don't agree with what he was saying either. I just think, it's like, it's very interesting. Here it is to my audience. Check it out. Do what you want with this. Figure it out. But you know what I've been saying. Pray about it. Ask the Holy Spirit. I think it's wrong, but it's interesting to look at this side. That's how we run our show. That's not how these guys operate. And it's just, I don't know, it's just an interesting dynamic there. So
I'm hopeful that you guys will eventually reconcile, because I think you guys do see the bigger picture, and I think you do see the importance of this time. You know what I'm saying?
It is important, yeah.
And listen, and Tim does too. I think it's just a clash of personality at this point. And I do hope that if you guys both focus on the goal, which is unification at a very important time under Christ, I'm hopeful that things will come together for you guys. So don't cut him out permanently. You know what I'm saying? Don't. I don't think he's taken a payout from the government.
No, I don't think he's taken a payout.
That'd be
for the
pretty
government.
wild.
I think he has
billionaire backers.
Well,
but
that's
I don't
true,
know. Listen, I also don't.
If I was
care.
a billionaire, I'd want to be friends with him. But
I don't care. No, I mean that's confirmed by.
That is true. He's even said it. But it's like, is that necessarily a condemnation to have a billionaire backer?
I don't know. But I mean, listen, if we're going to be throwing around accusations of who's Christian, who's not, I feel like that's a fair thing to throw around, since you admitted it yourself.
But we can't cross the bridge. He blocked us.
We also can't cut you out, Tim. I have no interest in cutting anybody out.
I can't. I don't have the power to cut anybody out.
Oh yeah, I'm going to cut out Tim's body of work that goes back 20 years. No, who cares?
Right.
You're going to do what you're going to do, and we're going to do what we're going to do.
But if he did come and he apologized.
And got us on Blurry Creatures.
Well,
which
we would deny. We would say that we're not going to go.
We're simply too busy.
We're too busy to go on Blurry Creatures.
At least 6 or 7 years, our schedule is packed.
Yeah. So the answer is no. And I hope they hear this. I would appreciate them reaching out, but it will be a firm no. And yeah, just an apology. Maybe an advocation, because he did condemn
I want one
us.
of his hats.
Oh, that's a little bit too far. I imagine those hats are probably expensive. It's real leather.
We just said he has billionaire backing. So it's not about money.
Well, it's not about the money, but
sentimentality is what I want.
Leather has an ability to absorb, especially when it sits upon your head, the thoughts and spirit of a man. And I don't think you could part with that so easily, especially not to people, swine. But yeah, because there was a condemnation. So if there was an apology, and no shit, dude, if there was an apology and he was just like,
yeah, I don't care.
This whole thing went sideways. These guys are great. I know my co-host doesn't agree, but I would say, okay, cool.
No, I'll be fine.
I would say I have no problem.
This is actually fun. I
haven't even blocked him. I still.
Yeah, me neither. I just don't like. Don't call for like what we've been building. This, the work that goes into this kind of thing.
For sure.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
And if you do that, then we're gonna be spicy.
I get it, man. And listen, he may be in the wrong in certain aspects. You guys may be in the wrong in certain spots, you know.
I'm in the wrong in more than a few spots.
As am I, right? But blessed are the peacemakers. And if the goal here is unification and truth in a very pivotal time, we got to work together. You know what I'm saying? We got to work together, man. Because the example I gave earlier, Candace versus, I don't know, Alex Jones. I don't know where you guys stand on that. And Jones is just a placeholder for everybody opposed to Candace. Look at the division caused from two different perspectives on just a singular topic, right?
Yeah.
Within the Conservative Party. Now you have an entire faction within the Conservative Party that's like, I'm never voting again because it's all BS. And then you have another faction within the Conservative Party that's like, well, we have to vote right, otherwise the left wins. So it's just like, those are both happening in parallel right now within the same movement. And I don't know what
actually, it's the same exact phenomenon that you're describing. And I guess we would be more of the Candace types, but it's funny because on Twitter, he's also gotten out of his lane. He's very outspoken about that. He's very outspoken about even like the Charlie Kirk thing, which is I'm like an old political head. So I'm like, my takes on these things are a little bit more nuanced than Tim's, clearly, because I'm like watching them like this is just bonehead nonsense. And, you know, just backing the Tyler Robinson theory that the FBI got it right. FBI got it right 2 days later, not even 2 days later, 1 day later, you know, the guy disassembled the rifle. Yeah, 33 hours.
Tim's like, we'll
see you in Valhalla, Tim. He disassembled the rifle. He threw it down. His boyfriend's transgender. All this stuff is like, okay, yeah, we believe all this government narrative stuff that you're like neatly feeding us, and also then, you know, trashing the Candace Owens, which I'm not a big fan of. Like, I know where she came from, and I know that could be a little bit sneaky as well. But if she's saying some things that are true, then we have to say, okay, that might be true. He's on the other side of this where we have to completely not pay attention to this, shoot it down. And that kind of narrative just smells to high heaven to me when I see it. And then it's paired with all of this other stuff, which is in our lane. And then we become a little bit suspicious of what you're doing here. And quizás, it's just a differentiation of like maybe our ages or our worldview. But the worldview. Yeah, it's like a very boomerish worldview coming from him where we have to trust the plan, trust the government. And for me, I feel like we've seen enough that we should not trust these guys. We should see what they say and then, you know, really, really dig through it and make our own decisions after. That's the push and the pull here. So can those two things exist within the body of Christ? This is a question because our guy, Matt with the ears, he keeps telling us about the body of Christ. Are we moving in the same direction? Oh, well, we have to be comfortable because we are both part of the same body. And I go, are we? And I mean that genuinely. And maybe Tim is part of the body of Christ and maybe I'm part of something else. But where I'm looking at this, we're not the same. We're moving in completely different directions. As a matter of fact, we're harmful to each other. And I think you're right. Like there is a pull and one side is correct and one side is going to be incorrect. And I'm not willing to negotiate on that.
I wouldn't even say that we're harmful to each other, though. It's actually one-sided. We talk to people all the time who we disagree with.
We're harmful to him.
We're harmful to him if the truth is he has a book that he wants to sell and a narrative that he wants to maintain. I don't have that. So that's why we talk to all these different people.
Dave, he's also talked to a bunch of different people with different
opinions. That is true. He talks to L.A. Marzulli.
All sorts of people, you know? And this hasn't happened as far as I know. This hasn't happened before. So what do you think it is particularly about your guys' relationship or interaction that led to something like this?
We didn't show him an adequate amount of respect that he thought that he deserved.
I would say that's probably fair. Yeah. And
that was done intentionally. When you have a disagreement with somebody, I can't, especially with the guy that's going to tell you, these are the facts. If you think otherwise, you're stupid. Well, now, I mean, from my experience,
now you're daring me to be stupid.
Yeah, and also like somebody that is
challenge
higher.
Accepted.
Yeah, someone that's higher than you on this social scale or whatever you like to call this. We had on the first time we had Owen Benjamin on the show. This is just a comedy show. We had on what's this other guy? Whatever, like multiple high-ranking comedians. They come on the show.
Remember with the Dave Smith thing?
Well, yeah, but the first thing that I do is, all right, you're a comedian, I'm going to insult you. Like we're not, we're not on the same footing, but you got to understand that I don't respect you right now enough to like let you trample me. That's not how it's going to go. They come on in the pre-chat. I go, this is how it goes. The show goes like this.
Oh, Gavin McGinnis.
Yeah, I was like, this is how the show is going. We're moving. We're going to show some clips. We're going to laugh. We're going to pop jokes. You get in where you can get in. We're not going to make this about you. And they go, oh shit. Okay. Very clear. And then guess what? It's a great episode. And then they respect you. And then they show up. Then they fly to Florida and they do stand-up comedy at your event because you've shown them that, hey, listen, I do respect you. I do want you on the show. I value you, but I can't let you trample me. And that's kind of what we did with Tim here. He didn't handle it well because I think he thinks that we should let him trample him.
That's interesting because that's usually if you can insult your friends, that's a sign of a great relationship. You know what I'm saying? I make the most fun of my closest friends, and we go back and forth. Yes. And that's how you know. That's how you know you love each other. You know what I'm saying? But I wonder because I forget how long Tim was like in Peru and kind of grew up out there and then traveled a lot. I wonder if he just never picked up on that social aspect from the West.
A fair thing
and it's more of a like, bro, if you're in South America and you're insulting each other, you're gonna get freaking machete'd real quick. You know,
could be. Yeah,
I try to go ethnic there, but I don't think I said it right.
I think that was fair. Machete.
Machetes. Past tense. Machete. But I think it's just a clash of personalities. You know what I'm saying? And you guys do cater, your style does cater to a totally younger audience than Tim's might. Tim is more of like an intellectual, not that you guys aren't, but the way he like presents himself, more intellectual, more of a teacher. You know, it's as if he's holding like a lecture and going through the subject matter.
That's actually a great observation because I always say on our show, we're not the teachers. We're the loudest, funniest kids in class. The audience is the rest of the class, and we're like, we're
going to ask the questions that are uncomfortable. And I think that's why people continue to watch the show. But on the other hand as well, we've had people on the show that are much smarter than Tim, that are more well-researched than Tim. And we've hit them with questions and different kinds of things like that. And most of the time they go, if they don't know it, they'll just be like, hey man, yeah, that's actually a good point. Or actually I agree with that. Maybe I saw things a little bit different, or you're wrong. And this is why, but those are generally the three responses that you'll get from somebody. Not with this dude. It was just like one way. So I was like, well, no, it's not going to go one way like that. You're not going to come here, talk for 95% of the show and trample me and then do it on Twitter after. No.
Well, look, I want to take this moment to just say publicly that
sorry, Tim.
If Tim Alberino sees this, there are two ways through this. If
I'm going to need that hat.
It doesn't have to be that hat. A hat. A quality hat. If you send
one tooth from the necklace,
got the money.
One tooth from his
Wakanda necklace.
It's just one tooth.
You send us a nice hat, one for you as well. This is two hats. You know where we are, the Standard Coffee Shop in Lady Lake,
What if he
Florida.
did like a Solomon thing where he's like, I'll cut the hat in half?
No, don't do that. No, I don't
cut it in half.
I want a full hat.
Hey, it's biblical. You have to.
No, let me tell you too.
I'd say you can cut it in half. I don't care about the hat.
I'll know if it's a low quality hat. All right.
Because like, you see how you guys are split like down the center? The best would be if each of you have a hat, a half of a hat on separate sides of your head, and then you meld in the middle. Exactly.
That's actually the most horrifying image I've ever seen.
That's the move.
Boom. Send us a hat or issue an apology. I personally don't care.
Sign the book? I don't want that.
No, I don't want a signed book. I don't care, dude. For all intents and purposes, I'm a retard. Right. I like to have fascinating conversations. I do not take myself super seriously. I don't care about this. As long as you keep freaking out on the internet, Tim, I'm going to keep poking you because it's very funny. Every time I say you're a cat man, you spiral and you give me a wall of text.
The only thing I don't like, don't call for my livelihood, but it's almost like I don't want it to stop. Like,
because it is fun.
And this is a part of me that is like, I'm
terrible.
When he says you're not Christian or you're bad people, I'm like, oh, because now you're feeding this thing and it's so funny. And I'm like,
a bad person lives in me.
If we do, a bad person does live there. His name is Top Lobster.
Damn.
But if you keep stepping on the rake, I'm the kind of guy that's like, put that rake back down.
Yeah.
And you keep stepping on it. Like I'm sitting there and watching cartoons with my kids and I go, Timothy Wolverino, and then I make a meme and just put it out there, and then I go back to doing what I'm doing. But then I see the response, and I'm like, yeah, he's still
freaking out.
This is very simple. It's called trolling. You're an unwilling participant in my play, and I just can't stop the play. It just keeps going, and if you keep on doing it, I can't stop.
I don't hate him. I don't hate him. I don't want his career taken from him. I don't want people to not watch his stuff. I just think it's very funny. And if you're gonna, draw a line in the sand and say, no, I'm the alien abduction phenomenon is always physical. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you think aliens or demons or demonic, you're an idiot. I'm gonna go, you look like a fun guy to have fun with. And we're gonna do that. And that's all this is, man.
I need that hat. I don't care what anything. I need the hat now.
I would appreciate a hat. Yeah, because the one that I have right now, it feels like it's made of paper. It's from Amazon. It's actually on the other side of the monitor here. It's got a whip coiled around it. I would like a hat. If he gave us a hat, man, if he gave us an apology, I would stop memeing him. If he gave me a hat, I might just sing the man's praises.
Yeah. What do you want me to say? Disclosure?
You heard it here first. You heard it here first, folks. We need the hat.
I mean, please.
So the hat would be, in essence, the sacrifice that atones and brings relationship again, right?
I would never not wear it. Honest to God, man. If I picked that thing up and I was like,
it's probably heavy, right?
It's got to be weighty. Heavy. It's supple. It's soft, sure. and it's one of those, like a good baseball mitt. Sure. It's got to like be broken in, like that thing. I want this thing to show up in a box, and when I open it, it beckons me to adventure. It says, "Come to Peru." Climb some megalithic structures. Make some blanket statements.
I might just send you guys that.
No, it's got to come from him.
No, it's got to. I would appreciate it, Ben, but it means it's transcendent in its meaning.
I feel like when you put this hat on, you go, aliens aren't demons.
Maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's what happens, dude.
Hey, there's a neural link that plugs into the back. Man.
That's all right. It'd be worth it.
Hey, how much time do you guys have? I didn't ask you this on the front end.
I think I got some more time, but I gotta piss hard.
Oh yeah, go ahead. We'll handle it.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Let's take a potty break. Okay, Top. What do you think?
What's up?
What do you think about demons? Demons, idiot. What do you think about aliens actually being Nephilim? Like, I'm talking about old school pre-flood Nephilim that got off planet.
Right. Okay. So when we're talking about the Nephilim, the reality is that they start off as giants. If you read the book of Enoch, they're like 1,000-foot giants. Like they're as big as the mountains. Some people think that their blood is like the Himalayan pink salt. I don't know. At some point throughout history, they get smaller because we classify Goliath as a Nephilim still, but he's not like first generation Nephilim, right? Because he's only 9 feet tall or so. I forget exactly how tall he is. You also have Nimrod, who is he became Gibberim, right? So this is like a man that becomes some form of a Nephilim, but he became Gibberim. So it hints at genetic mutation. And even the book of Enoch, Sean from Kingdom in Context was on our show, and he was talking to us about I think it's Enoch 1 verse 7, where it's speaking of when the angels take wives of the woman, they teach them all manner of things. And one of those things is cutting roots. And it's like they taught them the art of metallurgy and all this stuff, and they taught them the art of cutting root. And then you look at chemicals like in Miracle Grow. One of the chemicals in Miracle Grow is something called gibberellum. And that stunts one of these. Yeah, check this out. It's wild. It stunts one of the hormone prohibitors in the plant, which creates excessive growth. Wow. And I'm like, I don't know. There could just be, maybe we could just be like grasping at straws here, but the word gibberim and gibberellum, and then when we're talking about Nimrod became gibberim, he became a giant, this mighty man, this hunter. I start to think maybe there's genetic manipulation. So I don't even know how to answer that question. Like he asked if aliens, do I think that the aliens of today are possibly Nephilim? And it's like, yes and no. I think that there's been a long history. There's been a long dilution. There's been this weird, I think they suffer from some sort of reproduction they don't reproduce as readily. This is a L.A. Marzulli idea.
Oh, like I mean, any animal that you subject to
hybrid.
hybridization, like a liger, for example,
or
is not
I think it's a mule. A mule cannot reproduce
mm.
again. I think they can, but I think it's sparse, and I think that's why there's so few of them. I also think that's why we see so much genetic distribution when we talk about the Nephilim, whether it be a possible dog man or a Bigfoot or a Mothman,
a minotaur,
a centaur, like Pan being like half goat and then half man.
Oh, of course, all the Egyptian gods are half frog, half man, half dog, half man, half lion, half man, half this, half that. You know, and we just look at it as like we just look at it as like, oh my God, they were so creative and imaginative.
So
and it's like
maybe they were drawing what they saw.
Maybe they saw that. Like, what are you talking
I think
about?
that
this is a problem that we have with Alberino, with the spiritual idea of what the angels are when they're in the physical realm. Because so now if we can't agree on the spiritual realm versus the physical realm, and if there's an overlap, and maybe the spiritual realm is more physical than our physical realm right now, we can't even get past that, which is why I thought it was important to like parse that out with Alberino. But it talks about I forget which classification of angel, having the head of
the cherubim, head of a man, head of an eagle, head of an oxen, and head of a what the hell is it? A lion.
Yeah, lion. and then we're talking about, like, I don't know, in the Bible we're talking about the lion. What is it called? The lion-headed man of
Moab.
Of Moab. Yeah, it's like, what if that's not just like a term or a turn of phrase?
Or like Saint Christopher, the dog-faced.
Yeah, the dog-faced saint, who was like classically known to have a dog head, and that's why you kind of see his armor protrudes out in the front. Like, what if these things were real? Jesus called a woman a dog face to her face. And I'm like, maybe he was just insulting her, or maybe she had a dog face. I don't know. Right. And I don't want to like mix these words, but there's something weird going on.
Well, that's like every time I look at any of these kind of mythological creatures, I do take the Heiser point of view now, where look, it's not like definitive, like it's not like it's the gospel.
It's not allegory.
Not the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, you have an angel with the head of an oxen, right? A multitude of other faces, but one of them is an oxen. And then I look at
what I'm getting at.
Yeah, like a minotaur, or like Moloch, for example, right? Is like this giant bull-faced man entity that they're sacrificing children to, or the minotaur that's guarding, you know, the what would you call it? The labyrinth in the Odyssey and things of that nature. I'm like, there seems to be precedent for
the elephant god. I mean, when you look at the Indian pantheon as well, it's just like
pantheon is nuts.
It's littered with Nephilim shit.
Hybrid creatures. So it's like, you know, Nephilim specifically being, the way that Alberino looks at it is it's strictly giants. And I go, there are so many other entities that I kind of have to figure out how to compartmentalize.
And well, what we kind of got famous for on the show was like, we created a meme. I was actually going to wear the shirt today, but I didn't want to bring it into the coffee shop. It's on the back, it's our logo, and at the top it says Nephilim shit. So like, we were just out there, and this was at the time of the Miami Mall. You remember that?
Yeah.
So, and people, it was interesting because the dialectic of Nephilim, like we had kind of put out Nephilim shit out there, and
on Twitter,
we just pointed at everything, you know, whether it's, I don't want to even say the words to get us banned, but it kind of is. When it goes downstream, we're talking about like weird psychological
corruption.
Corruption of the human of the human form of what we originally should be. So whether it be poisoning the foods, poisoning the air, changing what we are biologically, I'm like, we just like, it was a catch-all term, Nephilim shit. So like, yeah, are Nephilim giants? I think yes. Could they also be aliens? Maybe
they've had a lot of time.
I said that exactly. That's where I'm getting to. I say that because I think, like personally, and my people know this because I've talked about it at length, but I think pre-flood, humanity was way more advanced than we are today. Exponentially more advanced. Bro, they weren't dying at the rate that we are, right? They're living 800-900 years. They have advanced technology from the fallen angels, and they're breeding with the angelic. So the intellectual capacity might be, who knows? Who knows where they were at intellectually? So if we could come up with like little trinkets like this in 150 years of electricity being around, or I don't know how long. When did Benjamin Franklin discover electricity? from that point till now, we're about to create like sentient AI. You know what I'm saying? In a couple hundred years, these dudes with that level of intellect and ability were living for 800-900 years and had technology from the fallen angels. You don't think they had like way crazier technology than we do today? And you don't think they had, bro, the pyramids, like the Great Pyramid of Giza and stuff, people speculate that that was built before a cataclysm, hence the water erosion, right? It's quite possible that those things were created before the flood. The largest, the most sophisticated ones, the ones we can't reproduce or explain. It's quite possible they were created before the flood, and they were used as some sort of energy harvesting, some sort of technological something. We don't even know what, right? So if they were more advanced than we are, and we could get into outer space in the 50s, right? With like tin. I'm not saying the moon. I'm saying just space. With tin and gasoline, right? In the 50s. What the hell were these guys capable of before? We can't even explain their archaeology or their megaliths and how they did it, right? Even though supposedly they were just like cobbling stones together. Right. So I'm just reverse engineering it. If we can do this stuff now with our little minds and our little 30-year like intellectual lifespans, what are they able to do with hundreds of years of intellect and of knowledge being handed down, right?
Yeah, even a biomechanical entity.
Bro, if we can do that, don't even think that they weren't capable of doing something similar before the flood. Before the flood. And even Nimrod, the first thing homeboy does, okay, after people gather together and they start thinking, what should we do next, right? What are we, 200 years post-flood? The first thing this guy's like, aha, I'll build a tower to get to the heavens. How does that even cross your mind? Because that's probably what he heard people did before the flood, to get in touch with whatever made him Gibberim. You know what I'm saying? And when we think tower, we think like Tower of Pisa or whatever it's called in Italy. Most people speculate, or most scholars say, that it was actually a ziggurat. It was a pyramid. So the first thing this dude does after the flood is build a pyramid, and suddenly somehow he ends up starting to become a freaking Nephilim, or a Gibberim. It's probably something he heard about from his grandfather or father or whoever birthed him, who was a survivor of the flood, one of the sons of Noah. So if we could get off planet in the 50s, I bet you anything these guys were getting off planet pre-flood, exploring, mining, getting minerals, crazier technology, because they've got other freaking rocks and stuff they're mining from art. That's what we're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? That's our goal today, is to go mine shit on Mars and set up other colonies. So what if these dudes had off-planet colonies or mining facilities or something, and flood happens, home base is gone, and they come back in their little like spaceships or whatever they were flying around in, and they're just like,
bro,
where is everybody?
Where's my stuff?
We got to go back because there's nothing here left. There's nothing here, So they go back, they set up shop on some other planet. So that's why when Alberino is like, oh no, I think this is intergalactic, he might not be wrong. He might actually be looking at a facet of the deception that is intergalactic, because it's these things. God cares about humanity. I don't think God cares if Nephilim's set up base on another planet. He cared about the descendants of Noah, which leads to Jesus, and then salvation of humanity. He doesn't have to go Nephilim hunting out into space. That's a different story. You know what I'm saying?
Alberino also thinks that the flood was localized, which I disagree with. I mean, the Bible's fairly clear.
It's pretty clear. Like, I think even Heiser says it was localized, though.
Well, what's this guy? Graham Hancock is doing all this research showing water erosion on the Sphinx and all these different places, and plus pretty much every group in antiquity had a flood myth.
Right.
This is like, how is it? They all have it, but it's local. I don't know. One of the episodes we did that I think was really eye-opening for me is actually with one of the guys who are in the chat right now, Sean of Kingdom and Context. And the episode that I'm talking about was particularly on these craft that they had in the Vedic belief system called Vimanas. Vimanas were like these small bell-shaped craft. And I had heard about them, and I knew about like the Nazis and their bell-shaped UFO that they were working on. But what he highlighted was like this through line where it's like, yeah, they have all of this technology. Some are even the size of like flying cities. And then when you think about it in the context of the Nazis and the bell-shaped UFO, and then even the modern day, black ops programs that surely the government has, reverse engineering this and that. It's just strange because I don't even know if Tim is willing to have that conversation. We never really necessarily got to that, but this is a continuation of technology. And I think the reason that he's not willing to engage with that is because who is responsible for the Vedics having that technology, right? Or that pantheon, those people in India.
Blue people, right?
And what were they? Well, he doesn't believe that any of the pantheons were tangible creatures. They were all just symbolic. So if they were symbolic, then who taught them the technology that we're currently reverse engineering?
This also comes on the heels of like one of our favorite people, Andrija Puharich, who was summoning this. They called them the Nine, and from there,
he actually did call them the Ennead.
Well, they called themselves the Ennead, the Egyptian Ennead, and they identified as the same names as these 9 within the Egyptian Ennead.
Yeah.
But if you look at the 9 across mythology, I mean, like Chinese mythology has like 9 dragons. North mythology has the 9. I think that they were 9 worlds or entities.
Realms.
I mean, Mesoamerica has the 9. There's something specific about 9. These 9. I say even in Satanism, the structure of the Satanic Church, there are 9 within it, and then you have the pinnacle at the very top. So it's like that repeats itself all the time, and the characteristics of these lowercase g gods always do seem to match across cultures.
For sure.
You pull it.
I'm actually looking because there was something else called the Council of 9, which is something that Crowley was in contact with, but I always forget to. But it's like, yeah, they do have the same characteristics because one of them in particular, Baal Hadad, was a Sumerian god that was a storm god and is depicted as holding on to this. Man, this was actually something fascinating. We talked about this in the episode with John of Kingdom and Context. I forget what that little device is called. Elon Musk has one sitting on his nightstand, but it's like...
Oh, sorry. Let me just say this. Yeah. So Greek mythology had the 9 muses, which are... they're 9 goddesses. I can't even say their names.
And this is where you get your inspiration from everything.
Chinese mythology with the 9 dragons. Hindu mythology has the Navagadra, and those are also 9, these 9 main entities. Mesoamerican has the 9 lords of the night. This is like Aztec culture, and it goes on and on and on. Every single culture has this in common. So when we're looking at this and we're just like hand waving it away as something that is
symbolic.
Purely symbolic. It's like, so then why is everybody seeing the same thing? Why are they giving the same technology? Like, if you believe in the nuts and bolts technology of this, that these people had this stuff, how could it be symbolic but also physical? And why are they describing the same exact entity?
This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make sense of the multiple phenomenon that we're seeing. Because we see the crafts, okay? There are little green men that are, I'm being facetious, the grays in the crafts, typically, okay? Those crash. Why?
Oh, because we interfered with them with our radar.
We crash, bro. We have cars and we're retarded, so we crash, okay? These are like hyper advanced, interdimensional being. What the hell are they doing hitting a freaking rock in space? I don't think
what it sounds like to me, Ben?
I don't think that's an accident.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was given.
Like they're giving technology just like they have done consistently.
Precisely. So we know that part of the phenomenon, okay, is nuts and bolts and little green men, right? But we also have stuff like Bledsoe with orbs, which can be summoned via consciousness and all that occultic shit, right? So these are 2 different angles to this thing. So when somebody's like, "Oh, dude, I saw a UFO," you're like, "Were there bolts or was it orbs?" We don't even know what we're talking about anymore, even though they're both UFOs and they're both UAPs. They're both unidentified flying, whatever the hell they are. You know what I'm saying? So maybe when Alberino's like talking about, oh, demons aren't UFOs, maybe that's what he's trying to say is like they're not the orbs. Okay.
It's just weird because nobody says that demons are UFO. I mean, maybe somebody out there is saying it, but it's a strange.
I think we should really, like, if this is our wheelhouse going forward, and this is the angle that, or the attack vector, we should have a list of definitions. Like, I'm not even kidding. As Christians in the space, we should put together a list of definitions. This is what demon means. This is what UAP means. This is what the orb is. This is what nuts and bolts means. You know what I'm saying? So that when we actually present the material, I'm just thinking about this right now, so it might be a dumb idea, but let me know. When we actually talk about the material, we're being very, very specific, so that, I'm not saying this is what he's doing, so that somebody like an Alberino can't be like, the orbs aren't demons. And you're like, I know, I didn't say the orbs are demons. I said that this is a demon. The little green men, he might disagree with that as well. But I'm just saying we could be very specific with what we're saying, because I feel like part of the PSYOP is to throw everything into a big bowl, mix it all together so nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I will argue the orbs might be demons. Like, if we're going to actually go there, our friend Brad Lale brings up some interesting points about plasma and what the plasma is made of. The different chemical compounds, when they breach a certain amount of electricity, when they're coming into our realm, I guess if that's another term that we need to define, they will glow specific colors, whether it's phosphorus or the other kind of chemical composition that it's made of. So that's why you'll see like a red one, a blue one,
the
a yellow one.
Glasses. Or gases, rather.
Noble gases, right. And these things seem to appear, well, they appear under a couple of circumstances. One, maybe three circumstances, like under electromagnetic phenomenon. So like around Skinwalker Ranch, where I guess you'd say the veil is thinner, but realistically what it is, there's like just electromagnetic phenomenon there.
This is a fault line.
It's,
noble gases come out of fault lines.
On the 33rd parallel. So something is happening on this area where the veil is thinner. So again, we're talking about, like, we're using two different terms, but there's a way to describe it scientifically as well. Another instance in which you could see these things is through binaural beats. When you play binaural beats and you hemisync your brain, you're playing two frequencies at such a close frequency that your brain perceives a third. For some reason, with your intention or your consciousness, you can call these things and they will appear. So now we have another phenomenon of frequency and vibration that is bringing this into our atmosphere. And then you also have like different times during the night. Like I think the witching hour would be one of those times during the night where the veil is thin enough. Certain localities, these things can appear and cross this realm. And now we have to deal with other people's opinion, other people's testimony, where they're saying like, saw an orb, turned into a giant owl, turned into a UFO and flew away. Like things like this. So, or saw an orb closely followed up by a Bigfoot encounter. Saw an orb.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it's almost as if the orbs are like a precursor to some kind of supernatural or occultic interaction.
It also seems like the phenomenon will appear in various ways based off of whatever you're more likely to accept or believe in at any given time, because of how much the visage has changed over the years. You know, you're saying little green men. There was a time where they were little green men, right? And then they were like little men in silver suits, and now we've kind of gotten the grays, and we're you know, okay with that. But you know, we've heard of stories. We're okay with that. Yeah, we've heard of stories where they've appeared as children's favorite action figures, but like human sized, or Fred Flintstone, or some crazy shit like that. Like this thing has the ability to change its visage, and I think this is the problem. It's like
the orbs do. Specifically, the orbs have the ability to do what you just described, to change themselves into whatever the person wants to perceive or is open to perceiving. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the thing too. Is like sometimes
the nuts and bolts don't do that.
Right.
But
so
the nuts and bolts is probably our own shit.
Yeah, that could be government stuff. It's such a mixed bag.
It can be, but this is what I'm saying. It's such a chaotic, and I think this is by design. It's such a chaotic conversation. You know what I mean? There's so much going on that you could be talking about one thing and somebody's like, dude, UFOs change shapes and become whatever the person. And it's like, no, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the orbs, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry, I interrupted you, Dave. What were you?
Well, I was just going to say, this is kind of the problem with trying to come up with definitions. And I think the poetry of this scenario that we're talking about right now is it's highlighting the problems with leaning on your own understanding. At some point, faith has to come into this because we are only here for 80, 90, 100 years. We don't have the ability to catalog all these things. Even if we had them cataloged beyond a shadow of a doubt, people would still push back and you'd still be ridiculed. You wouldn't be, these, just because you come up with a list of definitions does not mean that people are going to accept them. And then what happens is you get into the weeds when you're arguing this definition and that definition and any of these things. Is the spiritual realm real? Is the phenomenon always physical? This can be an entire episode for each one of these topics. And if the name of the game is actually preparing people to not be deceived by this gigantic thing that is amorphous, ever-changing, willing to adapt and present to you whatever you're most likely to believe in the moment, if you're supposed to prepare people against that, faith is going to be a huge component. That's where the kind of the joke comes in, where it's like, conspiracy is a slippery slope. And in many cases, Gnosticism is what awaits at the end of it. God is the demiurge, and this is a prison planet. Lucifer actually is the one who is trying to liberate us by giving us knowledge that God wants to keep from us. That's where that leaning on your own understanding shit goes. If you're grandma maxing and you just go, demons, dude, I'm not, whatever that is, I'm not with it. I'm not accepting any mark from it. I'm not accepting any technology. I'm not entering any covenants or agreements with it because it's demonic. And the number one thing that is the focal point in my life is Jesus Christ, because we're saved through grace, right? Not because some alien thing introduced technology and liberated us from an evil system or gave us utopia. We're saved through grace. This is demonic. At the end of the day, it's almost, I've been in this for so long, dude, 20 years. Yeah, like I said, my grandmother was abducted. I became obsessed with this when I was a kid. I had a plethora of strange experiences. It all leads you to, like, the very first question is like, you're on the internet going, woke up in the middle of the night, couldn't move, shadow in my room. And then boom, the doors kicked open and I'm sitting here for 20 years having these conversations in circles, to the extent where I realized I'm at the point of diminishing returns with information, because salvation actually is really simple. It's really simple, dude. We're saved through grace. Believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, come and died for our sins so that we have this narrow path to salvation. And all we have to do is accept him as our Lord and Savior, repent of our sins, go forth and sin no more. What? You mean to tell me in this realm? That's insane. It's insane here. Yeah. This one thing that we're talking about, we could do 100 episodes on it. And the fact of the matter is people would still reject our definitions at the end of the day. And the way through is that simple. I don't think that we have, I'm not saying it's wrong to do, Ben. I enjoy it, or else I wouldn't be doing a show. I wouldn't be talking about these things. It is fascinating. And to try and define it, I think is like, what's that line from the Bible? It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, and the something of kings to pursue it. I forget exactly how that goes, but it's basically talking about, like, there are hidden things, and God has laid out this unbelievable world for us, full of mysteries, and I do think you should pursue them and try to understand them. But faith is a huge component of it, and I think when you get that caught up, I'm going to use an example here. You get that caught up trying to define it, and maybe what you do is you think you got it figured out, and you publish a damn book. And then all of a sudden your livelihood is tethered to that book. And anybody that has anything that flies in opposition to that narrative is now on the opposite side of the fence from you. What you've done is you've drawn a line in the sand and separated yourself from other members of the body of Christ, because your ideas don't go up in sync anymore. And I see people that are smarter than us, and maybe even ones, thousands of years ago that lived a lot longer than us, who probably figured out a lot more. I'm here for, another 40 to 50 years if I'm lucky. I don't know how much time I can spend hashing out definitions. I have a great commission to work on, which is bringing people to Christ and showing them, like, even though this realm is crazy as shit, the way out is really simple.
One meme at a time.
One meme at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess for the sake of conversation and not to be confused in that conversation. It's helpful to define terms, but
Sure, yeah.
you're totally right. Like it doesn't, in the end of the day, those definitions aren't going to save in any way. And the gospel is extremely simple. It literally just requires faith in Christ, which in and of itself, bro, makes no sense. Like there's
Even
so,
that, yeah.
there's so much going on. We just spent 2 hours talking about all the crap that's going on. We're talking about interdimensional, planetary, prehistory, technology, spiritual. Like there's so much going on. And the one thing that Jesus comes down into like reality and pops in and is just like, hey, I know it's crazy, but literally if you just have faith in me, I got you on the other side. When this is over, I'll take care of you. And you're like, what do you mean? How does that add up? That doesn't make any sense that it's that simple, you know? And I think that's the beauty of it, is that he makes it that simple, but then like people push back because they're like, there's no way. There's no way it's that easy, you know? But it's interesting times, brothers. It's interesting times. I think we're all on the same page in terms of what we're expecting. I'm actually even expecting kind of what Tim says in regards to
the Pleiadians and the Greys.
That aspect too, but that the Antichrist, this particular deception of the alien phenomena leads to the Antichrist in some way, shape, or form. You know,
I think so.
I don't think the Antichrist is just some like European political leader who stumped his toe and fell and cracked his eye and now meets the qualification of like the Antichrist, you know? The Antichrist demands worship, and people fall on their face and freaking worship him. And those who don't worship him get killed, you know? So you'd be pretty hard pressed to find a political leader who people are like, oh my God, you are the Lord Almighty, the creator, the whatever people do with their gods, right? You'd be hard pressed to do that towards a person who's a political figure. But if something gets beamed down from an orb or nuts and bolts, we don't know, it doesn't matter, right? And has powers to call down fire from heaven, right? People are probably going to fall down and worship out of fear, you know?
Yeah.
We don't know in the days of Israel and Yahweh and pillars of fire and the Exodus, we don't know that the other nations who belonged to those gods, right? Heiser's perspective, what is it? Deuteronomy 32 worldview. Those nations belong to those gods. We can't say that their gods never manifested to them and made themselves known physically. I think they did. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? So did Yahweh. Yahweh freaking popped up as a pillar of freaking fire and like burned shit up. And you followed it. And then he was a pillar of smoke. And he was like, go into Canaan because I'll go before you and you're going to win. And people are like, no way, that's crazy. We're scared. There's a freaking pillar of fire, you weirdos. Like, what are you scared of? This God is going to go freaking conquer for you, right? And when the freaking the Jews in the wilderness, Moses is gone for 30 days. And the first thing these dudes do is start worshiping the freaking bull god of Egypt. Hathor, you know, which is Bledsoe's girlfriend.
Yep.
Facts. Hey, that's
they did it because it worked.
They did it because it worked. Because Hathor was one of the gods of Egypt, and that's her territory. You know what I'm saying? But they were so familiar with the Egyptian ways that the second they panicked, because Moses is gone, right? Despite freaking pillar of fire for months, bro, or for however long it was, the first thing they do is go back to worshiping the God that they might have seen in Egypt. Legit, they might have seen her, you know? If she appears to freaking Bledsoe, some dork in the freaking mountains and I don't know where he's at, Tennessee or something, you don't think that she was appearing to the nation that she owned, the nation that God gave to her as her inheritance? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, she might just be purely symbolic.
And when that's the thing,
yeah,
these things show up. Yeah,
ahead.
they show up. And when they show up, people are going to be stunned. People are stunned by like celebrity, you know, like,
it's
oh my gosh,
pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, Sydney Sweeney, and it's like, yeah, she's hot, but it's like, guys, everybody calm down a little bit. And one of the points that I was making on a previous show with Matt, Big Ear Matt, we were talking about angels and Elijah and how he treated the angel, how he even he respected God, but how he even treated God. Like there's a point where the angel goes to wake him up as he's sleeping, and the angel makes him breakfast, and he like he goes like thanks, and then he goes back to bed. And I'm like, that dude understands. Like everyone else in the Bible sees an angel and they fall down. This dude was talking with God, and he was like, he told God, he's like, I want to die. And God's like, no, you got some more stuff to do. And he's like, I'm out of it. I'm done. Take me out of it. And God was like, how about this? And then like, he like, melts a mountain. Like he walks through it. And Elijah's like, still want to die. I'm still like, cool. But I'm still, and that approach to this supernatural of like understanding its power, respecting it, but being like, all right, like whatever.
Well, it's a deep understanding of the reality.
Yeah, the reality, not the symbology of it, but like this thing can happen. This thing is real. We worship and we praise one God. And even like, I mean, even as he's watching the one true God destroy a mountain and just like, ravage the land. And God's like, how about now? Will you get up now? Will you go now? And he's just like, I'm just kind of, and I'm like, I respect that attitude of like seeing it and being okay with it. And I think if we can prepare humanity or the church, at least for that, like, yeah, you're going to see some shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. But when you see it, turn back around and take a nap, man. Because
don't forget, are you guys still there?
Yeah.
It froze for a second. Don't forget that the majority of Christians, this is another battle, man. Dude, we're on all fronts, we're screwed. The majority of evangelical Christians believe we're not going to be here for any of this. We're going to be raptured. This is only for the non-believers. They're the ones that are going to see this stuff. So think about I don't know where you guys are at with that topic, with rapture, dispensationalism, all that kind of stuff. But think about the folks that are expecting to be alleviated of this suffering, right? Via beaming up, okay, via the rapture. Imagine when they wake up one day and this stuff is here and is manifested and is doing the things that, like Revelation says, will happen, and they wake up to a crisis. I'm not supposed to be here. Why is nobody raptured? You know what I'm saying? Even that misconception of like, pre-tribulation rapture can lead during the tribulation to some fallings away,
100%.
Especially if some aliens offer up some sort of, way to save you from this thing and that thing. You're like, I'll worship you.
Look at COVID. And I don't want to get the channel banned, but everybody's seen what happened there. Like this was just like something minor. An extreme trial run.
A trial run for a planet-wide.
Yeah, you want to go to the store?
First time in human history, all of humanity acted in one accord. First time in human history.
It was a dry run, yeah.
Yeah, it was a dry run and it worked fantastic. And yeah, so that's going to happen. I mean, the Judaification of Christianity is like excelling at this point. When you look at like Darby and you look at, what's this called? The Schofield Bible, that's kind of where you get this interpretation of dispensationalism, which was interesting. It was a funny little trick that Timothy tried to play as well, where he tried to appeal to my nature of being distrustful of the Zionists. And he said that the Zionists would want to...
I forgot how he framed it.
That they would want to... They're the people that are withholding the disclosure. And I said, no. I think if you are of the Zionist...
Interesting.
If you're of the Zionist flavor, you would want to increase the disclosure because that brings upon end times prophecy. Like that means that we're headed straight towards the Antichrist.
Which seems to be a pattern of behavior.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, that's not how it is. Like, no, Zionists and dispensationalists kind of like go hand in hand with their theology. So like, nice try on the bait, but he just doesn't know enough about, I guess, geopolitics to really make sense of it. Or at least maybe he thought I didn't. So that part was interesting. But yeah, the Judaification of Christianity is a huge problem. It's like, why would I plant a seed in the ground now? Like I'm going to be gone in 5 years. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, what a bad way. And maybe you are. Like I like Ed Mabry's interpretation on it. Why not all three? We have good reasons for pre, mid, and post-tribulation rapture. So maybe we like to say maybe the mentally challenged go on the
First
in the
one,
first
yeah,
in the first
they get
wave.
mercy.
Yeah, they're the best people. Like they're
honestly,
completely innocent. Like
the
take
kids
them out
from
of
the
this.
telepathy tapes, take them.
Take them. They're good. And maybe they get raptured. And then maybe the second wave, somebody, I don't know. But I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket. I'm still going to grow my farm. I'm still going to,
it's hard too, because on top of all those things, anticipating that you're going to be pre-tribbed, and we also live in this really materialistic paradigm right now. So it's like, not only are you not prepared for anything because you think you're going to be removed, but you're not prepared we're so detached from the reality, and forgive my, my language here for saying the reality of the spiritual realm, the supernatural. Our ancestors were not.
Our fear of death.
For sure.
Everybody in the Bible was acutely aware of these entities, either the lowercase g gods they were worshiping or the angels that told them to fear not. They were aware of this to a high degree. So we're not even, you have an uphill battle even getting anybody to believe that these things are real. When this all starts to unfold and you're suddenly subjected to something that is, a comparable intellect to humanity, I think the gloves are off, man. And people are gonna, if you fell on your face and you put the mask on and you did what you were supposed to do, 6 years ago, you're gonna fall on your face and worship these things.
These are markers, David. When you're presented with that, do you want to see grandma? Do you want to go to the supermarket? And then you cave and you fall. At the end of every episode of Nephilim Death Squad, I look right at the camera and I go, don't forget to obey, submit, and comply. Because I'm making fun of the people who did obey, who did submit, and did comply. So if you're watching the show and you're a fan of it, you hear those words and you go, yeah, that's a stark, or get that tattooed on your chest. Because if you did that, that's a failure. So it's like, if you're going to take the mark, that's a big one. If you're going to fold to cancel culture, it's also why we do what we do with the words that we say and how brash we are online. It's because people have told us that we can't, but you can.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, not doing that, not saying the truth, puts you in the predicament that we are in right now as society.
Yeah, so, you remember, like, hey, you can't say that. You're not a doctor.
I'm going to
trust
say
the experts.
I'm going to say it twice. You get kicked out of a town for you can't have Owen Benjamin on do stand-up comedy at your thing. We're going to kick you out of this theater. And I go, very good. We pick another place to do it, and then we do it, because I'm not going to comply with the clear evil that's coming from the government, Timothy Alberino. This is where it's generally coming from. So these are all markers, all tests. When Timothy Alberino says some shit to you, are you going to respect him ultimately and not push back? Because that's kind of where, people, I guess they see it, that respect as like, I'm not gonna make any waves.
Yeah.
It's like, you better start making waves, bro, because we're getting close to something.
Yeah. Thank God for the people that made waves in 2020.
Yeah.
Thank God for them. Thank God for the people that stood their grounds, that kept their businesses open, that kept saying the things that you weren't supposed to say because the experts disagreed. The science was settled and there was a consensus, and yet we still had doctors and lawyers and everybody else piping up saying this is illegal, this is not safe. If it wasn't for those people, a lot of us would have,
But that all goes back to this materialistic worldview of what we have. You turn you press a button on the wall, you have heat. You turn your knob there, you've got hot water. We can go to a store, right? I can go right next door. There's a Publix, and we can get any kind of thing from anywhere. This is very easy. But the idea of going without it, it's like it's the same mentality as this pre-trib rapture, right? Where it's like, they can't even fathom it. So I better make my entire worldview that I'm going to get out of here before any kind of suffering. But then you read the Bible and I see God himself come onto the earth and get beaten to a point where he's not even recognizable as a man. Dude. And then I see his 12 followers all get martyred in the most brutal ways.
Yeah, but you're special. Like, you don't have to go through suffering. You're special. Suffering. Christ wasn't. The apostles weren't. The early church was not. All of which got martyred brutally. You know what I'm saying? But we're special. God's not going to let us experience wrath.
It's not just that we're special. It's like, wouldn't you want to, like, and again, if I could live out the rest of my life, like my goal would be to make a nice future for my kids so that they could experience the life that I lived. Fairly comfortable. We have electricity. We have the luxuries that we've built around us and that we've continued to maintain. So that way, our kids could have a better future. I would love that. But you also have to be comfortable with the idea that, like, there might be a time where you will suffer. There might be a time where you will face death. Are you going to look it in the face, or are you going to cower? Because it's coming whether you like it or not.
They did it to God.
They did it to God. And just get comfortable with that idea. And that's a crazy thing. Like, I mean, we do a lot of, I think that's why we do comedy. And we also came from like the blue letter Bible. Shout out Blue Letter Bible. We came from the blue collar. No, actually, we
threatened to kill them all. It was a whole thing. We've since taken it back, and it's been a big funny thing. But we love Blue Letter Bible.
You better behave. No, we come from a blue collar background. Like I worked on the tracks, and I'm very grateful for it, because it's like one of these things. Every time I went to work, you know, you hug your wife, and literally could be the last time I come back. It's dangerous. I'm working next to 600 volts of electricity and trains passing by my face like this close every day. We're swinging metal down there. We're doing all kinds of stuff. And I became comfortable with the idea of death. And it molds your personality. It molds the humor that we do and like the way I approach life. And yeah, it might come off crass, but in the end of the day, it's like, all right, so we insulted Timothy Alberino. So what, dude? Like, I might die tomorrow. And you know what? It's not really a big deal.
That really is the big difference. Like, if Timothy Alberino wasn't on megalithic structures in Peru, if he spent time in a metal fab shop, he would just have laughed at all of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what we're dealing with at the end of the day here, is
like, we're looking death right in the eyes and going like, kind of funny.
That's it, man. That's it. Like, you know, it's just did you grow up in that sort of an environment? Did you, like you said, Ben, did you have friends who, you know, you busted their balls? Because that's what I do with my best friends, is I bust their balls. And I mean, I have friends that I haven't talked to for years. If I call them and they pick up the phone, the very first thing they're going to hear is a slur. Immediately, it's going to be the first thing they hear is a brutal insult, an attack on their character, you know, something horrifying. And that's just the way it is, man. And it doesn't mean...
He comes into the shop every day. I look him up and down. I go, what would hurt the most?
Dude, we do that to Matt. It's brutal. We do that to Matt on a daily basis, and it's absolutely brutal. So, I mean, that's really all that he is freaking out about is just...
It always comes back to Mr. Alberino.
Everything does. It's
all roads lead to Alberino.
All roads lead to Peru.
Interesting. That's funny, man. Well, on that note, that's a good way to end it, I think. I appreciate you guys coming on, or me coming on. I don't know what happened. This is a co-stream.
We were on your show. I think I'd like to have you back on, because I want to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
We just talked about
the drama.
Whatever.
By the way, we have a lot of actually fascinating topics to discuss.
That's debatable.
Well, yeah, that is true. That's debatable. We have a lot of crap we'll come on your show and make up if you have us back on.
That's all I want to hear.
There we go.
Yeah, man. No, it goes. We could go deep down like any of these topics. You know, we're not experts. I don't have a book on anything, but I have ideas about everything, right? And it's fun to discuss those and share them with people, hear their feedback, hear what they're thinking. Iron sharpens iron, you know, and if wild times are coming, bro, end times is very, very spiritual in nature. When you read Revelation, when you read the prophecies about that particular time in history, right? The end. Yeah. It's extremely spiritual. It's not naturalistic. People aren't just like, oh my God, isn't evolution crazy? Look at this beast that evolved with 7 heads and the wings of a scorpion and the tail of a scorpion and the wings of a locust. Evolution's fantastic. No, it says the pit opens up and these freaking things come out and they're given power only to hurt unbelievers. You know what I'm saying? It's extremely spiritual in nature. So I'm of the opinion that we need to get people ready for this spiritual awakening that's going to happen. And what a coincidence. That's also what the other freaking side is saying, like the new age side, right? They're also saying that there's going to be an awakening coming very, very quickly. So we're both saying the same things. You and I's here, we need to direct that spirituality in the right direction, you know? And I think we're seeing it start to happen. I think there is like an actual revival. It's not taboo or lame to like be Christian anymore. The most base thing you could do is go say you're straight, you're white, you're married and have kids, and that Christ is king. Like that if you say that on the streets, people are like, oh, crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're the counterculture and people think it's cool. That's why everybody's going back to like, well, another topic, Catholicism or Orthodox churches, is because that's a traditional thing that held fast all these years. And people are sick of the constant changing and fluctuating and opinions of like the Protestants and the division within Protestantism. It could get annoying, you know, but we can do a better job. That's all I'm saying.
This is also why it's like, I guess a legitimate criticism of what he's doing. It's like, don't jump off now. Don't jump off now and protect like this narrative so that we can talk to congressmen. It's like, no. The ball's been moved. We've pushed this ball into this corner. And just like the left did, like they, you remember the old trope was like, well, if you let them get married, then they're going to come for the kids next. And then everyone was like, oh no, that's not true. And they did it. It's like, well,
then they came for the kids.
I was like, okay, well, if you let me talk about Christianity in a good light and make it, well, you don't have to be embarrassed of it and make it actually a popular thing to be. Now I'm going to start talking about the Nephilim. Now we're going to start talking about crazy stuff.
Now that we got our foot in the door.
Pushing.
Yeah.
Why not? They did it. I'm going to push. You guys are crazy. I'm just pushing the straight up, what I see as the truth. So push hard on that. Why will we back away from that to these congressmen? These people suck.
Yeah, man. Hey, like, Tim, now that you're in the door, show them how crazy you are.
Show them how crazy you are.
Show them how crazy you are, Tim. Because you're crazy. I know you're crazy. I saw you dressed like Indiana Jones. I saw you climbing Machu Picchu. I know what you think created those megalithic structures. Tell these people.
This is why we're so mad at you, because you're not acting crazy. Like you're a crazy person.
You want him to go 100.
Go 100.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
That's it. That's all I want to see. Go full retard.
Always go full Alberino.
Dude, let's go. Let's go.
Dang. Well, on that note, boys, thank you for coming. I appreciate your guys' time, and I look forward to doing it again.
Thank you for having us.
Everybody that's here, like, share, subscribe to everything that's going on, and help us grow, help us spread the word, I guess, the good news. I don't know what you call it at this point, but help us share not BS, because that's where a lot of other people are at right now. And love you guys, and see you soon. Peace.
Bye.